Welcome back, Truth Seeker. This video is made to help people understand what is truly taking place at this moment in world history, the moment of the coronavirus slash COVID-19 outbreak. And where we need to go back to is September 11th, 2001, and maybe even a little before that. It was in the years just before September 11th that everyone started to get a cell phone in their pocket. I was a junior in high school when all of a sudden the majority of students had a cell phone. And I was one of the few people who didn't want one at the time because I immediately saw the downside of it. It meant that at all times somebody would be able to get a hold of you. There'd be no excuse not to answer the phone. So we start getting phones at the end of the 90s, the early 2000s. By the time September 11th, 2001 rolls around, nearly everyone has a cell phone in their pocket. And then the towers come down in New York City. And then weeks later, the Patriots are the best team in football. And then weeks after that, the Patriot Act has been passed. This new legislation that infringes on pretty much every civil liberty on the book. And after the Patriot Act, more and more laws rolled out, and what they all accumulated in was the right for Big Brother to keep tabs on us, to keep records of our phone calls, our text messages, our emails, what books we checked out at the library. It allowed them to create massive databases of information for all of us, and they said they were doing this for our security. In 2008, 7 years after 9/11, the big legislation that year was passing immunity for the telecommunications companies, because even with all these new laws to essentially violate all of our private matters, they were going even further beyond. They were still breaking the laws even though they had all these new reasons to spy and keep tabs on us. So what did our government do? They said, well, let's just give these big telecommunications companies immunity from prosecution for violating our civil rights, and that's exactly what they did. And you might recall that was the year Obama was campaigning for president, and all along the campaign trail, he was saying he was a constitutional lawyer. We couldn't let this immunity pass. It was a violation of our constitutional rights. But then when it came time to vote, how did Obama vote? Obama even voted for immunity after for months saying how this couldn't happen. It wasn't right. But then when it came time to vote, he went against 3 months of rhetoric. And people should have known then. Obama was just another one of them. Another politician, another big talker, another fraud. So anyway, 9/11 came. It gave reason for government to say, you know what? You need less liberties right now. You need less constitutional freedoms. You need to be kept safe from these big bad men out there living in caves, rolling with box cutter knives, with suitcase bombs. That's what they used, for all you younger people, that's what was always on the radio. Suitcase bomb, dirty bomb. You know? Be afraid of the brown man with the accent. So, anyway, people were duped into being afraid, especially after the towers came down, and they complied. They said, okay, government's here to keep us safe. This is what government's all about. They're here to protect us. They're here to look out for our best interests. You know, good thing we got this government. At least that's what the people said who didn't really get what was going on, you know. Everyone should have really known what was going on September 11th. Perfect demolitions, stories that didn't add up, all these drills going on at the same time. That's why the government said that they couldn't respond with the fighter jets like they normally do to shoot down the planes. Just way too many coincidences, but not enough questioning. So, 9/11, that agenda, it opened up the floodgates for taking away the concepts that this nation was built on. Freedom of speech, freedom, freedom from search and seizure. Essentially, all those things were burned overnight. And the president at the time, George W. Bush, his response to those type of assertions was, the Constitution's just a piece of paper. Those were his words. Like it's nothing. So, here we are 19 years later. And again, 19. That's the cycle of the moon. The moon's on a 19-year cycle. Every 19 years, it does a perfect reset on the sky. The place it is on January 1st, 2001 is the same place it is in the sky January 1st, 2020. It'll be in the same place January 1st, 2039. The same place January 1st, 2058. Every 19 years. 2001, 2020, 2039, 2058, 2077. Perfect reset. It'll be in the same place in the sky on the same night. So January 1st, January 2nd, January 3rd, all the way through the end of the year. 19. There's a certain group of people that operate by the moon. And that certain group of people, there was a certain group of those people that were arrested in New Jersey dancing around saying they were there to document the attacks on September 11th, and they were sent back to Israel. Anyway, so here we are in 2020, 19 years later. And now what's happening? Now we got this new technology that's different. It's 5G. It's 100 times more potent than 4G, which we're now getting phased out of into 5G. This new internet technology, this new wireless internet technology is 100 times more powerful than what we just had. And to think about this, any of us who have ever gone for a walking somewhere in a new town or a new place where we're not familiar with, and we've used our GPS to navigate ourselves there, we know how when we walk around, it knows exactly where we are on the street, the corner, within about 10 feet. It's about accurate within 10 feet. And that's pretty impressive. That's where we are right now with the 4G. With 5G, it's going to know right where we are to the exact inch, probably to the millimeter. It's going to be that much more specific. It's going to be perfect. And that's why right now you're reading about headlines like this. All these types of headlines are all over right now. Google is tracking whether you're staying home. Google rolls back, privacy features. Google location data shows regions that are violating lockdown orders. Google uses location data to show who's complying and who's not. And you know what they're able to see right now? For example, if there's a living room in the nation where there's a bunch of bodies, and who are they tracking right now? They're tracking spring breakers. That's who they're tracking the most. And why are they tracking that group? Think about it. Those are the young people who've grown up with this technology their whole life. They have all the apps. All these apps that they have, they've clicked the box. This app only works with the tracking data on. This app only works with the tracking data on. This is the group of people who have the phones in their pockets with all the apps, with all the abilities to track. Just the other day, there was the story about how millennials aren't obeying social distancing orders. This is how they know it. Because they see, spring breakers are still going out. They're still having fun. They're getting in houses. They're partying. They got their keg cups. They're having a good time. They're living life like all the rest of us did up until this moment in history. This wasn't possible 20 years ago. This definitely wasn't possible 50 years ago. This new 5G just allows them to clamp down all the much more. That Economist cover from March 26, 2020 about coronavirus with everything's under control, with the hand of God holding a leash around the neck of a man who's walking his dog. That leash is the technology that we've put in our own pockets. You got to ask yourself, how does the price of technology continue to go down even though it becomes more advanced while the price of everything else goes up? It's because they want us to have this technology. They want it. They want it in our pockets. And for the person out there who's saying, well, I know the solution. I'll just leave my cell phone at home. You're right. That is a solution for right now. Just leave your cell phone at home. But that's the solution for right now. Remember, for 5 years, something called ID 2020 has been in the works. And it's probably been in the works longer than that, but we've known about it for 5 years. It was announced in 2015, this ID 2020, which is a biometric scan that reveals all of your medical data. And it'll probably reveal more than that. Probably eventually have all your financial data, probably have everything about you. But no doubt that is where they're going. There's going to be something on our body that's trackable, that's readable. It could be our own eyeball. Could be our fingerprints. Could be our teeth. Could be a mark on our flesh. It could be a chip inserted in our skin. And some people are already doing this for their children. It's being marketed to parents. Get this chip for your child. No one will be able to kidnap them. We'll be able to find little Bobby, little Susie in a second. Understand, all this stuff they're going to do to us, they're going to make us comply. They're going to trick us one way or the next. They're either going to scare us into it, or they're going to pay us to do it. They're going to give you some tax incentive to do it. There's a way they will eventually get everyone to comply. And then there will be, no leaving your cell phone at home. The mark will be on you. The thing will be on you. The thing might already be a part of you. And again, it could be something like your eyeball, because you have to remember they've built very sophisticated facial recognition technology. They showed it to us like 5 years ago. It was a mainstream story when they showed how that camera from like way up on a building in New York could zoom in on anybody in the crowd that was there for the ball drop on January 1st or whatever year they did it. I want to say it was like 2016. Could have been 2015, it was further back than 2017. It was probably 2015 or 2016. It was one of those years where they showed you that camera. It zoomed in from way up on the building. You could see like 1 million people out in New York, but you could zoom in on every single person in that crowd, and their face was super clear. I mean, think about how amazing that technology is. The ability to zoom in on everyone in the crowd. And just like they showed you last week on CNN, in Russia, they said they've set up 170,000 cameras in Russia with facial recognition technology that within 30 seconds can figure out who that person is in their government database. And if they're not following the rules of social distancing, the new coronavirus COVID-19 laws, they can be financially punished or arrested. And they said they're already doing this in Russia. And they made it seem like, that's over in Russia. And like I said last weekend when we talked about that story, the same thing will be happening in the United States of America and in the world, because this is a new world order agenda. Russia's no different than the States. It's why we both had the space race, the nuclear arms race. We do everything. We're mirrors of each other. So this is what it's all about. And, I've been telling you for years, the whole time I've been here, I've known that this is what they were going to do since September 11, 2001. Since shortly after that, with the PATRIOT Act and the cell phones, I just saw, I was like, man, they really are building a police surveillance, tracking state. Now it's nearly 20 years later. The technology's more advanced. They got the technology where they want it. They can now achieve the things that they totally want to do, the ideas that they've had all along, and now it's here. And that's why they're doing this, because they're transitioning us. And they're telling us, this isn't conspiracy nonsense. They're telling us. Here's from CNN today. This was CNN's feature story this morning. Normal will look very different when this is over. This is dated April 4th, 2020, which, by the way, is the 52-year anniversary of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., who 53 years ago today, on April 4th, 1967, warned about the military. He essentially took the idea of Eisenhower's warning, the military-industrial complex, and built on it. And he said, this military nation we live in, it's behind all the things that are wrong. And if we don't do anything to stop this military agenda, it's going to destroy all of us. That was 52 years, the speech was 53 years ago today. MLK was killed 52 years ago today, 1 year after giving that speech on 4/4. Don't forget that's the military number. And also 47 years ago today, the World Trade Centers opened. 47 years ago today. We'll come back to that. But look, right from this article, this is that same article where nothing will ever be the same. I could read all of this, but really there's just one paragraph that you need to understand. Transition strategies and what comes next. Dr. Mike Ryan, Executive Director of the World Health Organization Health Emergencies Program, spoke Friday, that's yesterday, April 3rd, about getting from the crisis to the post-crisis. Ryan talked about transition strategies and said each country needs a strong public health architecture, a massive investment in our capacity to do surveillance. Contact tracing, isolation and quarantine, and a robust information system so that people know what to do and where to go if they are sick. Remember, a few weeks ago, Apple came out and said that they saw the future of their company, and they said it would be a $7 trillion industry or more. And essentially what they see is their Apple Watch, but something greater than the Apple Watch. If you're not familiar with the Apple Watch product, you put it on. It's great if you're exercising because it tells you, how many calories you burned. It's very specific. You can change settings if you're going out for a walk or a run, or if you're doing weightlifting. It tells you the calories you're building, all this stuff that's going on within your body. And anyway, what Apple's saying is, we can already do that right now with our watch. We got a better future planned where you get something more specific to your body, probably like a chip, that tells you even more about your health functions, like how clear are your arteries, is your blood flow good, all this type of stuff. They'll probably have computer chips that they can put in us not too far in the future that tell us if, certain cells in the body, if a cold's coming on, a flu's coming on, if we need to go get a checkup with the doctor, maybe there's signs of cancer in the body. I mean, the technology is becoming more and more advanced. But anyway, this is what Apple sees. The future of human tech, health technology. And again, this is how they're going to coerce people into participating in these things. So it won't be so Orwellian and shoved down our throats. It's just people will be lining up for it. Yeah, I want that. Wow. Early tracing, early detection. Wow. Can know when I need to boost on the vitamin C. I mean, all things are good and bad, right? All of us, if they really could come up with technology like that, we would see, okay, that's nice, but you always have to think about the government's angle. And you have to realize these big tech companies, they really are big government. Again, almost all these tech companies, they don't make the majority of their money from the consumer products they sell. Not even Amazon, who sells all the crap in the world. Amazon still makes the majority of its money from government contracts. Amazon is the company that has the majority of these databases tracking us, just like Microsoft. Amazon's also the company that's been developing the sophisticated facial recognition technology. They're the leaders in the world in this. But they're going to dupe us into participating in what they want. And the reality is, if you're a good little obedient citizen, that's probably not going to be a big problem for you because you already obey and you follow all the directions and you trust the media and trust government. That's what they want. And for those of you who don't see the downside in that, it's because you're not thinking. You're not thinking about all the things government also does, like starts wars for no reason, kills innocent people, children, women, men, everybody. Why do they do that? Why are they over there destroying the Middle East and Afghanistan right now? For the same reason to build all this technology. Afghanistan's mountains have all the crap that they use to make all these things. The computers, the cell phones. Not to mention what they've done with all the opium. I mean, that's another story. But they go where the resources are. Oil's used to fuel vehicles. Oil products are also used to make computers and cell phones. These are resource wars by governments for an agenda. What do they do with the people they don't need so much? Look at what they did with Flint. You think that was an accident? How they messed up their water supply, poisoned all those poor black people? You think that was an accident? This is why you can't be so obedient to government. Because they'll be phasing out all the people they don't need until the day the good little obedient person will realize is the day they come to phase out them. So what's wrong with all these sleepers? They just worry about themselves. That's what people have been telling me my whole life. Even people who would agree with me, they say, all right, Zach, yeah, you probably are right, but you can't worry about stuff like that. You just got to think about you and focus on you. And I'd always say to people, I'd say, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. If you don't worry about, the world you live in, you have to live in this world. If this world's going to become a giant poison, toxic police state, then I'll be wrong for just worrying about me all this time. I'll realize I should have been speaking out all these years, doing something, raising awareness, trying to change the tide. And that's why I have lived this way. That's why I have been doing these things for a long time. Even before I was online blogging, making YouTube videos, I still used to, go out and protest and raise awareness and attend gatherings in cities whenever I heard about it. 9/11, this, go out and speak, meet people, try to do something. The whole problem all this time is there hasn't been enough people. You go to those gatherings, there's like 50 people there. Whoop-de-doo, what are 50 people going to do in a nation or a city of 2 million? Nothing. That's the whole problem. Not enough people doing what needs to be done. But I'm not going to go out and realize that, I was one of the, or I guess the way to phrase it is, if we are going to go out like this, at least I'm going to be able to look back and say, you know what, I did the right thing. I don't want to say that I tried, because tried is so weak, right? It's that Star Wars quote. Here in Washington State, we're on lockdown until May 4th. May the 4th be with you, the Star Wars day. But, there's always that Yoda quote from Star Wars. There is no try, there's do. So I've been doing. It's just not enough people are doing. And my doing hasn't been enough. Because there's just too many people that aren't doing. But the way you get more people to do is by do yourself. And I know I have helped more people do. And I don't intend to stop. You guys understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's still not too late. It's not going to be too late until the day it is too late. And the reality is, all the things they're planning to do, the mandatory vaccine, the ID 2020, the chip, all that stuff is at least more than a year away. Now, the problem with that is, if they keep us in lockdown for the next year, which they could start a war. They could make this get even crazier. They could literally have us on lockdown for a year. They could. If that happens, well, some of us are going to have to realize that we need to break rank and we need to go out and organize. And again, that's why isn't it good that I built a website like this for the time being? I realized they could take down the internet and then this would be worthless too, but it's here now. And for months, I've been trying to get you guys on here because I've been saying now is the time to get on here, to organize with like-minded people, to find people in your community. Because again, you guys, a small group of people can make a big difference. When 20 of us gathered in Seattle, it made a difference. It made Event 201 go viral on Twitter that weekend. The weekend we did it. 20 people made something happen in the world. More information got out there. Imagine if there had been 200 of us or 2,000 of us. It would have been all the more potent. But again, there's enough of us now that we should be getting on websites like freetofindtruth.com, sharing information, trying to find people in our community, organizing. That's what we have to be, organized. That's what I said back in 2015. That was my best video of 2015. I said the message 2015. That's what the video was called. And it was about how we need to get organized, how we need to know who's in our circle, who we can trust, because I said then, this is where the world's going. I said we have to organize now while we can, because eventually the censorship will be too much, the surveillance state will be too much. Here we are 5 years later. Everything I warned about then is now the reality. So, okay. Moving on to some other things that I want to point out. Again, they're building this massive surveillance grid because they now have the technology to do it, which is 5G. And the thing about 5G is, in this code of letters and numbers, which is how they do all their plotting by, again, 9/11, a national emergency on 911 in New York. New York equals 111 on the day, leaving 111 days left in the year, and a million other things. Anyhow, what they're coding all over this ritual is 56. And keep in mind, in New York right now, you have the 56th governor, Andrew Cuomo, whose brother Chris Cuomo, his name equals 56. He just came down with the coronavirus 56. They got everyone acting fools, going out spending paper on paper. Probably part of all the sick joke of getting rid of paper currency. But anyway, coronavirus 56, toilet paper 56, mind control 56, Washington, D.C. 56. One of the biggest celebrities to get coronavirus has been Tom Hanks and his wife, who were both born in 56. And Tom Hanks was supposedly filming the movie for Elvis in Australia when he got it. Elvis got a vaccine for polio in 1956, and that was a big deal because the vaccine had been out for 3 years and less than 1% of the U.S. population had gotten it. But after Elvis got the vaccine on live television, 80% of the American populace went out and got it. Just goes to show how long celebrity and television's been powerful. You know, TV was a newer thing back then. The biggest star on TV gets the vaccine, and then all the Americans feel like they need to go out and get it. Nothing's changed. That's why I've said for so long, we got to take down this news network, or we need to figure out how to use it in our favor, because the TV is what controls the minds of the masses. But anyway, the point is, they're just coding 56 on everything. When California went into lockdown, the governor told his people that in 8 weeks, 56% of people would be infected with coronavirus. 56% in 8 weeks? How many days is 8 weeks? 7 days in a week, 8 times 7, 56. Anyway, they're using this number ritualistically. This is a federal agenda. Government means mind control. This is a government agenda. What does a 6 look like in terms of, you had to morph it into a letter? Doesn't it look like a G? 5G? So I know the entire truth community has been freaking out and saying that 5G is causing the coronavirus outbreak. I disagree with that. I realize the signal's very potent and likely does have very serious health problems since, you know, they've warned us since cell phones came out in the late 90s that the radiation causes cancer in rats. It does that in rats. I'm sure it does it in humans too. And since the 90s, the signal has continued to become more potent with all these new generations, 3G, 4G, but now it's a huge step to 5G. It's 100 times more powerful, which probably means the radiation is nearly 100 times more powerful, which probably means it's nearly 100 times more likely to cause cancer than it was before. And again, we live in a world where we got people, like Bill Gates, who's front and center in this whole coronavirus outbreak. Remember, Bill Gates' first birthday was October 28th, 1956, which is the exact same day Elvis got his polio shot. And then you had that movie come out in 2016, Inferno, starring Tom Hanks, which is about a billionaire who wants to depopulate the world with the virus. Think about it, guys. Virus, technology, human beings. That's why they chose to do it this way. It's the mockery. Virus is computers. Bill Gates, the computer guy who's become Mr. Vaccine, who's been front and center on TV. Ask yourself, why is the TV interviewing Bill Gates about what to do about a viral outbreak? He's a computer guy. And he's not even really much of a computer guy. He's a guy that's good at writing contracts. Anyway, just think about what they're doing. Think about the symbolism. Think about how they're coding 56 and 6 looks like a G. Think about the Georgia Guidestones, which say to limit the Earth's population to 500 million. They were placed there March 22nd, 1980, 40 years ago. United States in Gematria equals 40. Old Testament 40. In the Old Testament, God gets rid of the people of the earth. These people do things by biblical riddles. They use the scripture like a script. So anyway, 56 is everywhere. 56 looks like 5G. 5G is being rolled out right now in major cities. This 5G technology is giving the tech companies new ability to track and monitor people like they never have before, with much greater accuracy. And again, they probably could have done something similar to this even with 4G. Like I said, we've been able to, go on walks with GPS and be tracked our spot on the earth within 10 feet, but now they can get it down to the inch. Now they can literally see if people are sitting 6 feet apart and know for certain. That's the difference. That's the difference. That's how they could literally start to fine you, because that's what they said they're going to start doing, rolling out fines and laws and arrest. You guys, I want you to think about a future that's not too far from now where currency is digital, right? And ID 2020 exists. And all of the things that are about you, your information, your medical records, your financial information, everything is electronic and everything is in a government database. Imagine what the government can do. Oh, if you've ever screwed up on your tax payment, you know what it is to deal with the IRS. You know, it's comply or get another fine, get another fine, get another fine, and then get thrown in jail. It'll be the same type of thing, but it could be with a vaccination. It could be like, oh, we see that you don't have your vaccine, you missed the deadline. Take a look at your bank account. We just took out $500 today. If you don't have this shot by tomorrow, there will be another $500 taken out, and if you don't have it out within a week, there will be a $10,000 penalty, and if you don't comply within, there will be a jail sentence. And we'll be giving you the vaccine and your ID 2020 chip while you're in jail. This is where they are going. This is what total control will look like. You have no option because now you are under total surveillance. You'll be punished in all ways, financially, physically. This is what they want. All the people who think government's here to protect them, it's never been the case. Government has only been here to control us, period, and use us for agenda. And if you're one of those people going, I wonder if like the people that even at the top of this government are human, I wonder the same types of questions. The only way we'll ever have certain answers is if we revolt, find out for ourselves. But this is where we're going. You know? Everyone should really know better. It's just a tragedy that more people don't know better at this day and age. They know they've been lied to by government and media, but these same people who know that, somehow they still trust it. How do you continue to trust something that you know lies to you? I got to tell you though, people are waking up. I was in the post office yesterday and there was this woman. She was all anxious and she was nervous and she was starting to talk about a video she'd seen on YouTube. And one person was kind of listening, and I just could see she was nervous and uncomfortable about what she was talking about. So I just chimed in and I backed her up, and I said, you know, you're right on point. And I said, I didn't hear her say anything about Event 201, but I started to talk about Event 201 and the simulation and how it was, man, everyone in the post office, the workers, the people in line, they were all listening. They're like, I'm going to look into that. Okay, I didn't know about that. Thank you. And again, the people who are out and about right now, they're probably the people who are more reachable because probably the most terrified people are probably hiding in their basement right now. But the thing is, there's a lot of people who are waking up for the first time. They know something's not right. This isn't making sense. So, again, even though something bad is coming, realize this is also our opportunity to flip the script, a phrase they like to use a lot. I think the script can be flipped. I almost think this is what we needed. Something like this to flip the script. But there's going to have to be some civil disobedience in big enough numbers to make it happen. And we're going to have to be wise about that. You know, we're going to have to be coordinated and smart about it. In the news today, they're saying in the UK, some people set some 5G towers on fire. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the government did it themselves just to make the story and, to put out the word, okay, we're aware, you're going to go against our 5G towers? Try us again. But honestly, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that really needs to happen, you know? There needs to be a rebellion against this tyranny and this surveillance grid that they're building. That's what this country is supposed to be all about in the U.S. We're supposed to be able to have the right to have a revolution, to object against tyranny, to fight against tyranny. That's why we have the First Amendment. That's why we have the Second Amendment. Or I should say had, because we don't have those things anymore, actually. We don't have a First Amendment anymore. You know? I just went down to New Orleans and I found out that I could hardly speak anywhere. I could hardly speak anywhere without getting in, some sort of trouble. Being told I need to leave this place. Shout out to Louisiana State University, the school I went out to expose, because they were the only ones that even let me speak on their campus without any type of consequences. LSU. I was just down in Seattle trying to help out the business owners at Pike's Place who are being impacted by this. They kicked me off and made me go to the other side of the street. Anyway, First Amendment, you have it in limited spaces. You definitely don't have it on YouTube. I've been deleted 19 times since 2017, supposedly for violating hate speech, making videos just like this. Just putting out nothing but knowledge and information and warning people of what's to come. I think they really started to hate me in 2017 because I was dead on about what day would be the biggest false flag in the U.S. since September 11th, which I had right on the money. Ended up being the Vegas shooting. Warned people all year to circle those dates. I said, just watch. Biggest false flag since 9/11. U.S. It's coming that date. Bam, that weekend. Anyway, and again, the reason we've been able to call things accurately is because we understand how they work by this very repetitive code. Letters and numbers. That's why you got to know it. It's the best. It's the best knowledge to have in this community to understand the agendas because they're so repetitive. They'll choose numbers for rituals and then they'll just go to town with it. By the way, that ID 2020 is being worked on by Microsoft, Bill Gates' former company. Bill Gates, who co-hosted Event 201, the coronavirus outbreak simulation of October 18, 2019, the same day the military World Games began in Wuhan. ID 2020 is being made by Microsoft and the Rockefeller Foundation, the same Rockefellers that built the World Trade Centers in 1968. And if you guys missed the first video I did on the coronavirus outbreak, I talked about how it was Seattle and New York again, just like it was for 9/11. Seattle and New York, those cities got connections in numbers. Just in case you never heard me say this before, which I've said a million times and written a book about, in 1968, 33 years before 2001, World Trade Center construction began, August of 68. 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. That was February 16th, 68, the 47th day of the year. George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones. His birthday is July 6th, which is a span of 68 days from September 11th. Boeing debuted their jumbo jetliner, Boeing up in Seattle, just like Magnuson Klemenkic Associates, the firm that built the World Trade Centers. Seattle company, Seattle, New York, the epicenters of coronavirus now, same cities. The New York Jets, that was their only Super Bowl winning season. Of course, it was a New York Jet who sacked Drew Bledsoe that gave rise to Tom Brady and the Patriots at the time of 9/11 and the Patriot Act. New York Jets, think about it. Sports, the circus for this world we live in, the distraction, part of the agenda. 2001, A Space Odyssey came out, a movie about technology overtaking humanity. Hello? All those things in 68. And why? Terror equals 68. Seattle, Washington, 68. You know what? I'm going to pull up the Gematria calculator to show you something real quick. Because it's more specific than that. It's 68, but it's also 94. Look at this. Seattle, Washington, 68 and 94, right? It's also 212 like the New York area code. Manhattan, where the World Trade Centers were. Manhattan Project. They called the site Ground Zero, which only has one definition before 9/11. The point above or below ground where a nuclear or atomic bomb explodes. You ask yourself how those massive buildings turned to dust in the air as they fell. But Seattle, Washington, 68, 94. Look at the word terror. 68, 94. So all that stuff happened in 1968. What's up with the 94? Remember, the World Trade Centers opened April 4th, 1973, the 94th day of the year. And look at World Trade Center, 94. It's also 247 like Seattle, Washington. It's also 77 like September 11th when you write it out. Remember, Flight 77 hit the 77-foot tall Pentagon on the 77th meridian, 77 minutes after taking off on 9/11. Pentagon construction began September 11th, 1941. D.C. on the 77th meridian, United States 77. Doing things by numerical pattern, national emergencies on 911. So anyway, the Rockefellers, they funded the World Trade Center project. And if you go back and research that, nobody wanted the World Trade Centers built at that time because the economy was down. Landlords already couldn't rent out their office space because there was all these vacancies. Why in the world would they build two massive structures full of office space while the economy was down and while there were all these rents? Imagine being a landlord. It would piss you off. All that would do is drive down rent prices even further. And why would some billionaire crooks do that? Because they don't give a shit about anybody but themselves and their agenda for their very elite group of people, which is what not enough people understand. This whole thing going on with coronavirus right now, this entire thing, it is benefiting the very top while everyone else in the world is hurt. Small businesses are going to go out everywhere because so many small businesses operate on the cusp. They don't make big profits. They make just enough to have a modest salary for themselves, cover their employees, cover their rent. You see how often small businesses come up and go away? It's hard to be small business in this big corporate world, especially when you have to compete with companies like Amazon and Walmart, which have all the purchasing power in the world. You know, most people don't have very much money, so they shop based on price. They might want to help out their local neighbor mom and pop store, but they can't afford to. They can only afford to go to Walmart or Kroger or Amazon. You know, it's a dollars and cents game. And right now, all those mega companies, notice they're open while mom and pop stores have to close right now. Mom and pop TV store can't sell TVs, but Costco, Walmart, Target, they all can. They're going to eat up even more of the market. They almost control the whole thing already. It won't be almost anymore. They'll control the whole thing. And just watch as time goes on. Eventually, Amazon will probably control it all. Amazon Mart. Thought it was Walmart. It used to be. It's Amazon Mart now. This is what an agenda looks like. This is what happens when you have 50 people that have as much wealth as nearly 300 million in a nation as we do in the United States. You don't think there needs to be a revolution? You don't think something needs to be done about those 50 people who have way too much wealth and power and are using that wealth and power to destroy everyone else? It's these reasons that answer the questions of why they want so much control. They don't want to lose power of what they have. You know that phrase, absolute power corrupts? In this little town I live in, there's a man. He seems like an okay guy, but he has a lot of power in this town. He owns almost every building downtown. And, I was talking to him recently because I was asking if we could buy that building for GematriaEffectNews, and he said no, he doesn't want to sell any of his buildings. He says his goal is to own every last building in the town, and he's almost there because he wants to pass it all down to his son. And I'm sure that just seems so great to him, to give his son this ultimate gift, but he's not thinking about the world. Is that what's right for the world? Is it good for one man and one son to own all the property in the whole town? That's greed. He might be okay, but he's still greedy, and he doesn't realize. It's not good to do that for your children in most cases either, because then they become little entitled assholes and they're born with everything and they got a silver spoon in their mouth and they don't appreciate nothing. Guy like Bill Gates, born into wealth, serving his puppet role, following in his daddy's footsteps of eugenics, laughing on CNN last week about, the pandemic. It's just so funny to Bill Gates, who has a documentary where he predicted all this and now he gets to be the guru and look like he's such a wise guy. He's just loving it, laughing about it, having such a good time on public television. He knows this society of well-herded sheep still aren't going to put two and two together. I want to show a clip from The Matrix. I don't know if I can, but I see this channel that only has 282 subscribers has the video up, and he's not getting a copyright strike. I don't want to lose this video, so I don't know if it's wise to show the clip. But, you know what? Here, I'll just put it in the chat. You guys can watch this later. You can watch this clip later. I'd like to show it. I just don't want to lose the whole video over showing a clip. But, it's this scene right here. You know, it's Agent Smith, and he's talking to Morpheus, and Morpheus is all beat up. And he's explaining to him that human beings aren't mammals. He said there's only one thing that human beings are like, and that's a virus. And he says that's because viruses, you know, they don't live in balance. They attach to something, and they feed off that thing until it's all gone, and then they go on to something new. And again, The Matrix was one of those movies that came out just before September 11th, and a lot of people noticed after September 11th that Neo's passport in The Matrix, again, the guy who breaks the Matrix, that his expiration date for his passport is September 11th, 2001. Think that was an accident? It certainly was not. Just like how the two biggest movies before 9/11 in those years, just right before 9/11, they were The Matrix and Fight Club. And how does the Fight Club end? It ends with buildings in free fall collapsing. With the Pixies song, a band out of Seattle. I didn't thought about that until just now. Okay, the Pixies, the music that plays, Where Is My Mind, as the buildings are falling, they're from Seattle. Just like Magnuson Klemenkic Associates, who built the World Trade Centers. I think the author who wrote the book Fight Club is from Seattle too. But yeah, that is the band that's playing as those buildings fall. The Pixies, Where Is My Mind, Seattle band. But anyway, The Matrix, they let us know about the letters and numbers, about the deception, about how the powers that shouldn't be perceive us, and perhaps this scene in there about humanity being a virus. Perhaps they were cluing us in there, too, for Phase 2 of 9/11. You know, so check out that clip. You just got to search The Matrix, Human Beings Are a Disease, a Cancer on This Planet. He explains how humanity is a virus. And then, of course, they use that same actor for V for Vendetta, which is another movie about the reality of our situation. And again, this cover, which was put out March 26, 26/3, like 263, the 56th prime. The Economist, another 56, like coronavirus. Everything's under control. Big government, liberty, and the virus. And it's just amazing how they can put stuff like this in front of our face and people don't connect the dots. They don't get it. To the world elite, everything is under control. This is just what they expected. This is just what they planned for. This is just right where they thought they had humanity at. And now they can gloat about it with their magazine cover. A leash around a man wearing a mask who's walking his dog with a leash and a mask. And of course, the leash is the technology. The leash is the technology. Let me read a little bit about 5G and its capability. In January 2018, Robert Spalding, the Senior Director for Strategic Planning at the National Security Council, was in his office at the Eisenhower Executive Office Building. And remember, it was Eisenhower who, as he left the presidency, warned about the military-industrial complex. By the way, with the alphabetic order, military-industrial complex equals 322, the number of Yale's Skull and Bones. Don't forget, on March 22nd, 322, as predicted, we predicted a week or more in advance that would be the day we'd see a lot of cities going to lockdown. New York City was one of them, went into lockdown on 322, the anniversary of the Georgia Guidestones. But anyway, he was in his office at this Eisenhower building across the street from the White House when he saw a breaking news alert on the Axios website. Scoop, the headline read. Trump team considers nationalizing 5G network. At the time, Spalding, a brigadier general in the Air Force who previously served as a defense attaché in Beijing, had been in the military for nearly 3 decades. At the NSC, he was studying ways to ensure that the next generation of internet connectivity, what is commonly referred to as 5G, can be made secure from cyber attacks. I wasn't looking at this from a policy perspective, he said. It was about the physics, about what was possible. To Spaulding's surprise, the Axios story was based on a leaked early draft of a report he'd been working on for the better part of a year. 2 words explain the difference between our current wireless networks and 5G. Speed and latency. 5G, if you believe the hype, is expected to be up to 100 times faster. A 2-hour movie could be downloaded in less than 4 seconds. That speed will reduce and possibly eliminate the delay, the latency between instructing a computer to perform a command and its execution. This, again, if you believe the hype, will lead to a whole new Internet of Things, where everything from toaster to dog collars to dialysis pumps to running shoes will be connected. Remote robotic surgery will be routine. The military will develop hypersonic weapons, and autonomous vehicles will cruise safely along smart highways. See, that's also part of the experimentation right now, just how easily they can clear people off the roads, set it up for, automated systems. The claims are extravagant and the stakes are high. One estimate projects that 5G will pump $12 trillion into the global economy by 2035 and add 22 million new jobs in the United States alone. This 5G world, we are told, will usher in a 4th industrial revolution. And again, the super elite, they love the prospect of this automated world. It'll be less expensive for them. No more bloated insurance plans for their employees. Just maintenance on the tech. Again, that's why you got to start looking at this as a whole. The Georgia Guidestones, what they say about the world population in terms of reducing it by more than 90%. This is their future. An automated future where they're not even the 1%. They're like a 1,000th of a 1%. A very small group of people. The world is theirs. It's at their total command. They're in total control. There's no threat to their empire or their future generations, their own children. And all they have is a society of serfs. That's probably our future. Maintaining the equipment. So, if they even need us for that. But, yeah, everyone's really focused on the 5G radiation being the cause of the virus. I really don't think it's that, but the surveillance grid, that's definitely for real. And what's going on right now, this is like a giant test. They're treating us like lab rats for their experiment. Now, check this out. I started this live stream 10 minutes later than I wanted to because right when I was about to go on the air, somebody called me and hit me up with a new piece of information. And I'm going to cover that new piece of information in 1 second, but real quick, I got to hit this point first, and then I'm going to show you something new that's totally mind-blowing. So again, from September 11th, 2001 to March 11th, 2020, which was the day that the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic from coronavirus, from September 11th, 2001 to March 11th. Don't forget that March 11th, 2002, right after 9/11, that was the date the Tribute in Light began, where they had those 2 massive purple beams go up that represented the World Trade Centers in New York. They really like that date, March 11th, and if you follow me, you know why. But anyway, from September 11th to March 11th, 222 months. 222. A number we've talked about a lot over the years. Wuhan coronavirus is 222. Order out of chaos is 222. New York is 222. And if you want to add to that list, World Economic Forum is 222. They were one of the main sponsors of Event 201, the coronavirus simulation outbreak of October 18th, 2019. And if you still haven't taken the 11 minutes to watch, that's how long it is, 11 minutes long, the Event 201 highlight reel, watch it. Because they talk about the outbreak. It's done by Johns Hopkins University, who's giving us the numbers to this date about the supposed cases and deaths in the world. And the numbers from the simulation are just like the numbers they're giving us now. And again, in the simulation, the numbers get crazy at the 6th-month point. But anyhow, That simulation hosted by the World Economic Forum, which equals 222. And remember, they're out of Switzerland, just like the World Health Organization, just like the banks are out of the World Health Organization. The most powerful banks in the world, including the Bank of International Settlements, they're all in Switzerland. And who's profiting the most right now from this agenda? The bankers. The banks are making a ton of money because every dollar lent is essentially a dollar of profit for them. So how many trillions have they already lent? Just double that number, or on the other side of that number, if they've lent out $8 trillion, that's how much profit they've made, because that's essentially what they make in interest, if not more. And that's the way they record it in their accounting books. So they're making buku money off this right now, and realize those banks are controlled by the world elite, and this is how they scam us. This is how they steal our wealth. And for all of you who think you're getting something back because you're getting a $1,200 check, realize over your lifetime you're going to pay for that $1,200 a lot more. With everything we're talking about here, plus interest. You know, that's a temporary loan because you've been inconvenienced with a lie and an agenda. So if you think, you know, that $1,200, you know, keeps you under their thumb, I mean, you got to wake up. But anyway, this 222 weeks on the nose is not an accident. Order out of chaos is the agenda. Create the problem, provide the solution. And remember, the word chaos itself equals 19, like how we're on a 19-year cycle, which follows the moon. Again, this code of letters and numbers comes from Kabbalah. It's called Gematria. It comes from Kabbalah. Kabbalah states God created the world with letters, numbers, and words. It's why these people do everything by this code, because they are playing God. You know, like this magazine cover here. You know, they give you a hand of God with a leash around a man's neck. Now, here's the new thing. Turns out Johns Hopkins University, that co-hosted Event 201, turns out they did another simulation of a pandemic on May 15th, 2018. Look at this. The Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security hosted the Clade X Pandemic Tabletop Exercise on May 15, 2018 in Washington, D.C. They're out of Maryland, so they're not far away. They're there in Baltimore. The purpose of the exercise was to illustrate high-level strategic decisions and policies that the United States and the world will need to pursue in order to prevent a pandemic or diminish its consequences should prevention fail. Now, the date they did it, May 15th. Coronavirus with the alphabetic order is 155. Like that date's written 15/5. Also happens to be the Boulet's birthday, which is interesting because, again, Kobe's now buried in Corona Del Mar, which equals 56 like coronavirus. And he's a member of the Boule. But anyway, that date, 15/5, coronavirus 155. The reason I wrote Christianity up here is because this is all following biblical prophecy of the New Testament, the scripture, the script, the number of the beast. So check this out. Christianity and coronavirus, both 155. Johns Hopkins does this simulation 15/5. And the simulation was called Clade X, which equals 113, like Johns Hopkins University, like coronavirus pandemic, which was declared on what date? 11/3, March 11th, right? March 11th. How many days was it from Clade X to March 11th, 2020? 666 days. 666, the number of the beast, which comes from Christian scripture, the final book of the New Testament, Revelation. Now, another word for revelation is apocalypse, and we talked about this a while back with a headline about the Pope, a story that came out on January 13th about the Pope. Apocalypse is 113, right? Another word for revelation. Now remember, corona equals 66, like number of the beast is 66, like New Testament is 66. The 66th book of the Bible is Revelation, about the number of the beast, about 666. And we've been talking about how they've been... Nope, looks like I forgot to put it there. Here. Revelation with the alphabetic order is 121, right? Revelation is 121. And so they're coding, you know, these biblical themes on this. Revelations 121, the first case in the U.S. is found January 21st in Seattle, Washington, the backyard of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that co-hosted Event 201, where Bill Gates has been talking about something like this for a number of years. Revelation 121, coronavirus outbreak 121, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation 121. If you run Johns Hopkins University in reverse, it's also 121. And again, this is why you want to know the ciphers forwards and backwards. It's why it's undeniable that it's a perfect system, the ciphers with the alphabetic order forwards and reverse. And then World Health Organization's another 121. And again, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Johns Hopkins University, World Health Organization, they were all at Event 201, the coronavirus outbreak simulation that took place October 18th, 2019, the same day the military World Games began in Wuhan. And remember, they initially said patient 0 for Wuhan coronavirus was December 12th. 12/12, that was 56 days after the simulation. Since then, they've changed the date to December 8th, and then December 1st, another 121 date, and now they've moved it to November 17th, and that's probably because November 17th leaves 44 days left in the year, military's 44, and this is a military agenda. So, you guys, it couldn't be any more obvious what they're doing. You know, and I've been saying the same thing over and over and over the whole time I've been here, that these people are using the Bible as a playbook, Revelation's their favorite, playbook to go to, section of the playbook, if you will. They're always taking numbers and riddles out of Revelation. The first book I ever wrote, which I never sold, I just put it on my blog for free, is called Revelation and the Birth of a Nation. And it was a warning. It was like, you guys, look at what they're doing to us as a people. Look at how they continue to borrow from this scripture to mock us, to control us. And think about what Revelation's about. Revelation is about the destruction of the earth, which clearly shows that these people are leading us to destruction and doing it by the most infamous number. 666, remember how that factors in with this whole technology thing. Think of Apple. Apple priced their first consumer computer at $666 in 1976. Apple's symbol is a bite out of the fruit. Where's that come from? Genesis. Genesis equals 666. You weren't supposed to bite the forbidden fruit. That was the mistake that got you kicked out of the garden. So Apple has this biblical symbolism. They priced their first consumer computer at $666, and I just talked about this last night. This headline right here, Google to release your location data to help fight coronavirus pandemic. And you guys, just real quick before I make the point about the number of the beast, when did Google come about? Google became a big company when? The first time I ever heard the word Google was the summer after I graduated high school, which was 2001. I graduated from high school in either May or June of 2001, whatever it was, probably June. And I want to say it was a month. It was right before I went to college. Because back then we used to search on Yahoo, Alta Vista, I forget, there was probably something else. We didn't even know what Google was when we were in high school. We graduated spring, summer 2001. Google's name, which wasn't really that known, was first starting to enter conversations. It was like a new thing. The way I found out about it was my friend's dad, who was big on tech. He was like, "Oh, check out this new search engine, Google." That was how I first heard about it. I was like, "Huh, Google, huh? Never heard of that one." But that was just, weeks before September 11th, 2001. And you look into these companies, Google, they all have government connections. Just like how DARPA, the Defense Research Technology Program, DARPA ended their program of LifeLog, which was an online thing just like Facebook. DARPA ended LifeLog the exact same day that Facebook launched. And then Mark Zuckerberg has the same birthday as Israel. Oh, I'm sure that's a coincidence. He used to go around with the hoodie with the Star of David on the inside that said, "Making the world open and connected." Yeah, to whose benefit? Who are we all open and connected for? Now you see. Don't forget who was dancing in New Jersey the day of 9/11. But you see how they posted that article at 2:58 p.m.? 2:58. We've been talking about that number. It's coded in William Henry Gates 258. It's coded in the name of the man who coined the term corona. It's coded in the phrase number of the beast. And it makes sense because computer and internet are both 666. Cladex, this exercise for how they'll respond to a pandemic 666 days before a global pandemic's declared. And now we find out it's the technology that they're going to use to keep us all in check. Doesn't it all make too much sense? If you've read my book, I mean, all these ideas and concepts were already explained. The significance of these numbers, the rituals, the direction we're heading in. All this stuff's in my book. Obviously, this hadn't happened yet, but that's why I wrote my book, so people can understand the world we're living in, who's running it, why they're doing things by these numerical rituals, and how we're only going to stop it if we spread enough awareness and organize enough people. And, the book came out, I guess, 2 years before this happened, so it's too bad it didn't reach more people sooner. By the way, they put out this article on April 3rd. Date that could be written 3-4, Google 34. Remember a couple years ago, there was the shooting at Google supposedly on March 4th, 3-4, another 3-4 date. News by the numbers. How about this one? In the 1918 flu pandemic, not wearing a mask was illegal in some parts of America. What changed? You know how they were just telling you again with the 5G, how pretty soon they'll be able to, just put little chips on, fabric and shoes, the article we were just reading? How far off until we got our paper masks with our chip on there that, go to the great big government database computer that show, serial bar number, Zachary K. Hubbard ID for blah, 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 blah. He doesn't have his chipped mask on. You know what I mean? That's how they're going to be able to enforce all this stuff. I mean, and they'll be able to do it within our own homes, too. And it will go that far eventually, rules like this. This isn't going to be the last time they do something like this. We're going through a phase right now that's going to normalize this greater surveillance state. Let's wait until the future when they unleash the next pandemic and they tell you got to wear a face mask in your own house. You got to be 6 feet apart from your wife. Otherwise, we won't be knocking or asking. We're coming through the door, taking you down to the slammer. That's where we're going. That's where we're going. So, I think I said all I need to say, Truth Seeker. I don't think there's anything left to say. And, I guess the one last thing I would say is be sure to check out those Event 201 highlights from October 18, 2019, because the simulation talks about the viral outbreak. It talks about, the collapse of an economy. And by the way, Bill Gates said the same thing in his documentary on Netflix called Explained, the Next Pandemic. He says that, for not preparing for this pandemic that's coming, it's really going to hurt world economies. He's just so on point with that. People don't realize that he's been a part of these simulations forecasting all of this because it's an agenda. But again, really check out that Event 201 coronavirus outbreak simulation. You can watch the entire thing if you have the time. A lot of you probably do have the time, because if you watch the whole thing, which is, I want to say, just under 4 hours long, if you watch the whole thing, you'll hear all these people speak about bringing in new worlds for a new world, a new, more connected world. We need new rules. We need to get rid of the old ways. The old ways aren't fast enough. Again, it's New World Order, you guys. It's new rules. It's new ways for the New World Order. Where we're all supposed to be scared of the cold and the flu and germs. Didn't you know colds and flus kill old people? Lock it all down. Never mind, this has gone on all throughout humanity. But in 2020, it's a new phobia. And you guys, I wouldn't call it a hoax, because again, I think that this virus really is out there. And again, for those of you guys who are following me at the end of December, beginning of January, I was really sick. I was trying to make videos and I was coughing and Had a migraine for 5 straight days and couldn't sleep. It was the sickest I ever was. And sweet lady got it first, and then I got it about 4 days after her. And I was just miserable for 2 weeks. And I suspect that whatever this thing is, that was it. I suspect I had it at the end of the year, beginning of the year. So, but I mean, the thing is, I didn't die. It was like having the flu, but worse. And it was only the second time in my life I've had the flu. And it's funny, the last time I had the flu, the only time before this was, whatever it was, 2007, 2008, whenever they had that last big flu scare, whatever they called it, SARS or, I can't remember now, bird flu, whatever it was back then, that was the first time I got the flu in my life. And this winter was the second time. So both times when they were making big hysteria in the news were the times I got it. And I suspect they probably did unleash something that's more potent than normal, and that's probably why a person like myself who's never had the flu before got it those years. So, and just realize it's all part of an agenda. I mean, people forget that the U.S. military for over 100 years has researched infectious disease and illness and kept it in laboratories. And again, when you realize government's not your friend, it's here to control you, you start to see what's up. We got a caller. Maybe I'll take a few calls before I wrap it up, but what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Jack? Hey, regarding that virus with Elvis Presley, so yeah, he got it 42 weeks on the dot from his prior birthday.
Yep.
It was on Bill Gates' first birthday, and guess whose 42nd birthday it was? Dr. Jonas Salk, the guy who came up with the polio vaccine.
It was Jonas Salk's... Wait. It was Jonas Salk's 42nd birthday, October 28th, 1956?
Exactly. He was born October 28th, 1914.
Okay, I had a blog post with all the 42s, but I had a blog post with all the 42s with the Elvis ritual, but I did not catch the Jonas Salk piece, so I'm just verifying that right now.
Yeah, go ahead and verify while you got me on the line. That blew me away. Even,
yeah, man, it sure was. It was
years old.
God. Okay, so we got to show people. So Jonas Salk did turn 42 October 28th, 1956. And remember, the polio vaccine came out March 26th, 1953. So that 26/3 date, like 263, the 56th prime. Elvis gets the shot in 56. From Elvis's birthday, January 8th, to the day that he got the vaccination, October 28th, 42 weeks on the nose. Vaccines 42. Bill Gates, that was his first birthday that day. Bill Gates operates in Washington, the 42nd state. He's Mr. Vaccine. And Bill Gates did that ritual when he was 22 years old in New Mexico with the mugshot that's all a big joke, which we talked about. 46 days after his birthday. Microsoft 46, virus 46. But Bill Gates did that ritual down in New Mexico, the state that equals 42. And the word Freemason's 42. And of course, Elvis goes on to die at 42. But unbelievable, man, that was Jonas Salk's 42nd birthday. I did not even catch that. So,
hey, real quick, Zach, one more thing, Zach, real quick. I know you're getting ready to go off, and I appreciate everything you do for us, brother. There's a 222 in there as well. I looked up Jonas Salk in his Wikipedia entry. It said he was a proponent of mandatory vaccination, which you would expect. You put in mandatory vaccination, you get 222.
And that's exactly where we're going, man.
Wuhan coronavirus.
Mandatory vaccinations. I'm typing it in right now.
Vaccination.
Oh, wait, did I spell it wrong? Am I spelling it wrong? I must be spelling it wrong right now. Vaccination. I'm spelling it wrong. I cannot spell vaccination.
2 C's.
There it is. Yeah, there it is. Yep. Mandatory vaccination. 222. Unbelievable. That reminds me.
78 as well, but it's got an 87, which is a reflection of 78. Because there's the Wuhan coronavirus is 222 and 78. New York has that same 222 and 78. We are your future, which Governor Cuomo intoned ominously. We are your future to the rest of the country. That's 222 and 78. I mean, there's just a lot of layers to unpeel on this, my friend. But yeah, when I saw that 42, that blew me away with Jonas Salk. Like, even I was like, come on, this can't be real. And I looked at him like, goddamn, 42 years old.
Hey, by the way, in Dean Koontz's book, The Eyes of Darkness, which predicted the Wuhan 400 back in 1981, the conspiracy that's part of is called Project Pandora, which equals 222 as well.
Yeah, man, this thing has all sorts of 222s and 121s. I mean, it's just all over the place. Like you said, Washington State, and then New Mexico. It's just, there's just so much to unpeel here. And not only that, but when you look in Jonas Salk, it mentions something about him with a flu vaccine as well, because he's mostly known, of course, for the polio vaccination. And it said that he helped work on some sort of flu vaccine, which also made me think of the Spanish flu of 1918. I know that was, he would have been a little kid, so he wasn't part of that, but still, it just goes with the narrative. World War I, World War II, these vaccines, people in the Army, the armed services, and then we get these. They're just getting all these clues, and man, this just more than anything just shows that they planned this stuff out decades, if not generations, in advance, and they always have someone to push the way. Just like you mentioned earlier on the broadcast, Elvis. That vaccine was out there for about 3 years, and he was one of the hottest stars back then. Of course, the king of rock and roll, and the women were swooning over him, and the guys wanted to be him. And it's like, well, we gotta, use this guy as a nice guinea pig, and maybe he'll, light a fire underneath young people's ass and they'll get their vaccines like the little boys and girls.
I got to throw something in. He wasn't one of the hottest stars. He was the hottest star at that time. So right. they got the biggest star. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
Yeah, really, really good catches, man. It doesn't surprise, but it's just amazing how these people operate. And Jonas Salk's out of New York as well, so.
Oh, yeah, and he's also you-know-who.
He sure is. I'm sure he's related to Bill Gates. They're probably all in the same bloodline.
Yeah, and I'm with you, by the way, there, too, with Bill Gates. He never struck me as a real genius. There's a clip of him, he's playing Magnus Carlsen in a game of chess. And, I know that's a complicated sport, but it's kind of simple on math terms, and he loses in like 3 or 4 moves, and it's like, come on, even a new person wouldn't take that piece. It's like, I know this is like one of the world's best chess players, and you're not going to beat him anyway, but you don't go out of your way to make it easy for the guys. Like, if it was me, at least I would try and make things hazy, muddy, at least maybe make them run out of time on the clock. This guy, goes for a piece, and it's like, well, you're going to get checkmated in 1 or 2 moves. Anybody could see that, and it's like, this guy's supposed to be one of the world's smartest geniuses.
Indeed, man.
Yeah. Anyway, I think he's just a well-paid pawn. He's a front man, and he's played the role really well. People buy this. I sometimes watch the CNN broadcast just at work, and it's just amazing how people eat this crap up. Oh, he's so concerned. You think this guy's like a superhero. He's looking out for, people around the world. Oh, he wants to get them vaccinated and wants to make people healthy. And he gave us warnings years ago. Well, of course he gives warnings. They're giving us little hints. They planned this crap.
Indeed, man.
Anyway, I'll leave it there.
Indeed.
Thanks, Zach.
All right, great work. I really appreciate it. Awesome find. You take care.
Hey, thanks.
Caller?
Hey, what's up? Glad I caught you. Hey, first off, today is the day Microsoft first launched, don't you?
Are you saying today?
Yeah, on 4/4.
Huh. I actually didn't realize that. So that's very interesting. Okay. And, Oh, you know what? Okay. What year was it? What year was that?
Oh,
I'll look it up. But here's what it makes it. Again, Microsoft isn't technically in Seattle. They're just across Lake Washington and Bellevue and Redmond. But Seattle, Washington's 94. And Bill and Melinda Gates were married January 1st, 94. And what is it? Is it coronavirus pandemic that's 94? Anyway, April 4th is the 94th day of the year. So it makes sense that it's that day. So, okay, I appreciate that.
Hold on, let me see if I can see what date. 1975. Oh, and to develop and sell basic interpreters for the Altair 8800. Anyway, so, I was going through some of these dates, and there is so many, like, I'll do a couple of them real quick, but this might be something, like, maybe good for, like, the Gematria lesson, like, helping people, like, see dates and stuff, figuring that out, but some of these ones, like, because, of course, the state of emergency on, 3/11, and, of course, the election.
Wait a minute. Hold on, man. We have to rewind. So Microsoft was established April 4th, 1975 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's where Bill Gates was arrested 46 days after his birthday when he was 22, and Microsoft equals 46. Why was it established there?
I here on my historical events email, but it doesn't really go into it too much.
That explains, though, why. I already saw it was a Microsoft ritual, and like I explained to people, there's some connection between Seattle and that area because all the original UFO sightings were by Seattle near Mount Rainier, and then in 47 you had the incident with the crash in Roswell, New Mexico, which is the 47th state, like Seattle's on the 47th parallel. So, okay, they were man, unbelievable. Because
and think of this, too. Who's one of the big UFO spokespersons that's always on the shows and stuff? What's his name? Nick Pope.
Huh.
Worked for the British Ministry of Defense or whatever, but yeah, I find it funny that his last name is Pope, too. I wonder if that's going to come in somewhere, but... So anyway, some of these dates, like from Event 201 to the selection... we got 1 year and 17 days, the 117. Well, that wasn't the one. And there's a 1 year, 2 weeks, and 3 days. I keep seeing 1, 2, 3. That's not the one. But it was it was the first case to the election. 41 weeks, like Kobe died at 41. And then from Kobe's death to the state of emergency is 1 month, 2 weeks, and 1 day, 121. To the election is 9 months and 9 days. You got your 99. Or to the 16th, I noticed it's 2 months and 22 days, and that's the 107th day too. The day we were watching. So I don't know if anything, but there is a bunch of these, and I don't want to waste your time going all through them. But there's definitely a lot of interesting lineups this year.
Well, very interesting. Yeah, good observations, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right, yeah, you take care.
Later.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, you guys, this just shows what a puppet Bill Gates is for his entire life. This totally explains just how far back it goes. So I already knew there was some Microsoft ritual here, and I did not even realize that they were established. Because, again, this is what happened December 13th, 1977, and that was 46 days after Bill Gates' birthday. Microsoft's 46. Why were they established there? 47 states. Caller? Caller? Hello? Hello? I'm switching. Caller, you're on. What's up?
Hello?
Yep.
Yeah.
You got to mute your video. You got to mute your video and talk to me.
My bad. Hold on. Turn this off. Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
I got a couple questions, man.
Yep.
So if the league, they use the Gematria, right? How the hell are they able to get certain dates perfectly lined up with how the Gematria is? How do you get all right? You able to get? I think you was talking about what's his name? What's his name on the L.A. Clippers? The star of the L.A. Clippers.
Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard.
Right.
You were saying that he was winning.
I know you're talking about last year in the NBA playoffs. How I said how if it was 317 days from his birthday, that's the 66th prime. The Raptors were picking up their 66th win of the season, and that's how it was throughout the playoffs. The distance from his birthday to the prime number relationship, they were picking up all those wins through that period of the playoffs. It was just so easy to call. And that Game 7 where he hit that.
How are you able to How are they able to line it up?
Because again, you have to think. You got to think deep, man. All right, hold on. Before I answer the question, because I already know what the answer is, I want you to think about if you had to try to answer that question. If I had a gun to your head and said, "Answer the question," you can figure it out. What is it?
I can answer that question.
Yes, you could. Think about it. How could you make that possible?
Well, it takes time. You got to sit down.
It takes time. You're right. Okay, so here, you could answer this question if I gave you more time. These people that you see on the court, like Kawhi Leonard, they were born for this. They were chosen for this because the script was already written. So maybe, okay, you have to think, how many people in the world are born on a certain day that, how many people do you think are born each day in the world on just one day of the year?
Millions.
Well, I don't know if it's millions, but it would be thousands and thousands, right?
Yeah.
Okay, start thinking like that. So you've already written this script. The script's already written 30 years out.
Right.
You know that you need this person when he's 26 years old on this day to be the man. So you have thousands of people to choose from that are going to be born on that date. You're going to pick the very best person from that date. The biggest man, the most athletic man, the man right for the job. That happens to be Kawhi Leonard in this case.
But how do you predict like someone like Michael Jordan? Like if you look at the numbers, you could tell Michael Jordan was born like you said, his dad was 5'6". He wins three peats twice.
So let's just stop right there. Is that even really Michael Jordan's dad?
I mean, they look like each other.
How do you grow a foot taller than your dad?
I mean, that's true. I'm one inch taller than my dad. Like no one's taller than my. Yeah, but I mean, it's possible. You can grow. I mean, it's possible to grow.
I'll say anything's possible, man. But to grow a foot taller than your dad, do you know anybody anywhere in the world that's anything like that?
Yeah. So is he? Are you saying he's an MK Ultra? Like they had him in a dungeon and they mind controlled him, and then he comes out and does this stuff. But like LeBron James, obviously LeBron James. How do you predict someone to be 6'8" or 6'6"?
Exactly. There's not that many people in the world that are that big, man. So think about how many of these NBA players, they say they don't even know who their father is. They don't even know who his father is. I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure LeBron's father is Nate Thurman, because I was talking about Nate Thurman playing for the Warriors and Cavs before the Warriors and Cavs met in a single finals, and that's why I predicted all those years dead on what the Warriors and Cavs were going to do, meet each other in the finals because of Nate Thurman. And after the Warriors won the first championship and the Cavs won the second championship in back-to-back years, LeBron scored 27 in Game 7, which was the 103rd game of the season for the Cavs. 103 is the 27th prime. 27 books in the New Testament. They win it on the real King James's birthday, who has a Bible named after him. And then what happens 27 days later? Nate Thurman dies at 74, biblical number. And again, man, what I'm saying is they're farming these dudes, and they're not even telling you the truth about who their real dad is. Michael Jordan's father might have been a former NBA player, and then they gave you this pawn character to say he's his dad. That doesn't make any sense. Or maybe his dad is actually a relative of that family, but he's not from the tall half of that family. So again, they're lying to us, man. That these people, I mean, not that many people. Where do they get all these giants for pro sports? It's just like I said. I went to high school with two people that are professional athletes. One's a pro in Germany playing basketball, and his dad was a former NBA player. And the other dude I went to high school with, who was a basketball player all through high school and then played tight end for his final year of high school and then ended up playing in the NFL as a left tackle. That kid who played left tackle, man, supposedly he was from Estonia, and, he didn't seem like a normal person, man. He wore a white-collared shirt every single day, khaki pants every single day, the same clothes every single day. Who do you know in high school that wears the same damn clothes every single day? And he always had a smile on his face, and he was always super polite, and he just didn't seem like a normal person, man. He seemed like he was too good to be true. He was this huge, massive athlete. He was awesome at sports. He was just always friendly and smiley. He didn't even seem real, and he's from fucking Estonia? Who's from Estonia? So it's like I was growing up around one of these Manchurian athletes, and I didn't even realize it in high school, but I started to think about it once he signed $60 million contracts in the NFL playing left tackle for the Titans. I'm talking about Michael Roos, Roos. So anyway, man, I'm saying these people aren't like us, man. They're born for this, and some of them might be growing up in the high schools we go to, but they're not like the rest of us.
Yeah, but like for instance, I grew up in Derrick Rose era. I graduated in 08. Derrick Rose. I used to play AAU against him. I didn't really Derrick Rose is an idiot, bro. When he went to Stimmy, and he was this is a known fact. He used to do his homework and shit. Derrick Rose, I played against Amon Shumpert and But I mean, I guess you're right, because there's a lot of players who are not in the NBA that are better than the people who are in the NBA.
And that's another thing, man. That's another thing, exactly. A lot of the people in the league, they're not even the best players. It's like they had the right connection. They knew somebody. It's like the dude who made it from Portland, where I grew up, is Damon Stoudemire, Mighty Mouse. And he was a good basketball player, but he wasn't even the best player in Portland High School at the time.
Yeah, in the area, yeah. I know so many players that they could run circles around people like even Westbrook, I'm talking about Duncan in 6th grade and stuff like that.
So we're answering the question, man. It's like these people are selected because they're from the right family. They're from the right network. Maybe they are under some sort of mind control program. I look back and think about Michael Roos. I'm like, was he under mind control? Because all that dude ever did was smile and say polite gestures. I mean, who else is like that?
Right. Wow. And then so are you referring to Fritz Springmeier's book where they torture these people? You think that shit is true? They get
Dude, I only
tortured.
know what I know, man. I mean, I only speak on my own experience. So, I mean, it's possible. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Okay. Man, this is like it's like you're living in the Twilight Zone. This is crazy.
Well, don't forget the Twilight Zone equals 84 like United States of America.
Right. Yeah.
And Serling. Serling equals 84 too. Rod Serling's the guy who wrote the Twilight Zone.
Harden, LeBron. All right, man. I'm gonna let you go, man.
All right, appreciate the questions, man. You take care. What's up, caller?
Hello?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, are you still live?
I'm still live.
All right, I got a question for you.
Okay.
So, like with the caller that's live right now,
Well, he's not, man. Anytime you call in, you're like on 30-second delay. When he hung up, that's when you're on live. You're live now.
So with the last caller, he's just talking about sports and how it's rigged, and I totally believe all that. But as far as when they're in the game, do they know exactly what point they need to get to?
Well, seemingly, man, because these scripts are right on point, and that's why I always say they're using technology to ensure outcomes. Like, look at Kawhi Leonard's shot that bounced all over the rim last year. Again, that was a tribute to history that people didn't get. Kawhi Leonard took the shot that bounced all over the rim and went in that Vince Carter took that didn't go in against the exact same team 20 years earlier in the playoffs. Vince Carter for the Raptors had that same shot against Philly, but it didn't go in. For Kawhi Leonard, it bounced all over the rim, and then it went in by the numbers. And we had that game on Patreon before it was happening because we were showing how that whole series was synced up with Kawhi Leonard and his birthday. So it was right on the money what we were expecting.
So, since this is all lined up perfectly and everything seems to make sense from a Gematria standpoint, so all the players, they all know what they're getting into, and they all know exactly what point to get to and when to do this, when to do that.
Well, that's how it looks from the outside. I don't know if I'll say all players, because normally I'm just looking at the star players and leaders of the team.
Right.
So maybe there's some dudes on there that aren't as in on the script. And again, you look at some of these athletes that just quit out of nowhere, and the story's kind of mysterious. Glenn Coffey for the 49ers, whose dad was also in the NFL. I think he quit during his rookie season and said he was going to go become a minister instead, and then he kind of got made fun of, like, who gives up an NFL running back spot like that? But maybe some of those guys, like, they find out about the script and they're like, wait a minute, this isn't for me, so...
And I got one more question for you regarding Corona stuff. It's kind of hard to put it, but if you were in the situation of you got coronavirus and you got put in the hospital, and they wanted to give you a shot, what would you be doing in that situation?
Well, they don't have the vaccine and stuff yet, so you're not getting shots like that. They'd probably give you like some antibiotics or something, but I'll tell you what, man, I'm not taking that vaccine when it comes out, even if they make it mandatory. I talked to my sweet lady today, and I said if we start seeing something like that's coming down the pike, I say we move back to your country and go chill in the jungle with your family. She's all on board with it, so if it comes to that, I'm going to have to bounce at that point.
Alrighty, man. Thanks for taking the call.
Yeah, all right, take care, man. Yeah, I ain't taking no shots, especially with Dr. Devil here, Bill Gates, laughing about things and talking about how if we do a good job with vaccines, we can reduce the world's population by 15%. He might have been misspeaking. He might have meant 50%. So, but yeah, just look at this devil right here, man. Now we see what it's all about. I knew this shit had to do with Microsoft, man. 46 days after his birthday. And God, it was even on a date with 121 numerology, man. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation 121. So this whole goon's life was planned to a T. What's up, man?
I agree, man.
Well, with what thing? You agree with all of it? What's up?
Time to get out of Dodge when that happens, man.
Yeah, my lady's down with the plan if that happens. I said you might have to finish school later, man. We got to get out of here if they start doing shit like that.
Yeah, I was listening to that guy that called about, talking about the athletes and stuff. I just remember being in high school, Zach, and you could just see there was already a pecking order. I mean, these kids, that just, they even started. These kids aren't under mind control, most of these kids, I'm sure, but,
you could just see where, they've got the right families, their families have money. That's the kid that plays. That's the kid that makes the team. I mean, I saw that firsthand because I would dominate these kids during the summer, like in the basketball league, and then in the tryouts. But the coach would try to criticize the way I played, and I could just see that right away as a young boy. Just there's something's not right about this. And it was right when I got to fucking high school, It was like that, and it was an all-boys Catholic high school. I don't think I need to say much more than that.
I just got to interrupt and say that I think in some schools it starts before high school. I think it starts at middle school. At my middle school, I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you what happened to me my first year at middle school. Or actually, was it second year? It doesn't matter. It was one of the 2 years. I think it was first year. It was first year. Now that I think back. So the coach of the basketball team at the middle school, he also worked at the high school, and he was part of their athletics program there. But what happened to me the year I went to middle school is they changed the school district boundaries. So I happened to be on the one part of where the boundary changed. So all the kids I grew up with in elementary school, they went to a different middle school, and then I got sent over to this other middle school where it was actually a nicer part of town, where there was the kids who went to those elementary schools went to a lot better schools than the one I went to. And so I was used to this school district because there was one team growing up in my younger years, and the kids were from this one team. They were always the best because for whatever reason, the kids from that school were bigger, man. They were bigger in every single sport. But anyway, when I went there, I remember for basketball, for tryouts, there was only one player. I was a good basketball player growing up. There was only one player in that school that was better than me at basketball at the time. And the coach told me that he was going to put me on the B team, and that really pissed me off because there was only one player in the whole school who was better than me. So I still remember what happened the very first day. It was hilarious because I had to play on the B team for the first game, and the school we played first were all my friends that I grew up with. We played the middle school that I would have went to the year prior they had not changed the boundaries. So my old friends whooped the shit out of this school. They got smoked, the A team. They got wasted. And then we had to play after, and I was embarrassed to have to go out there on the B team. Well, I was embarrassed, but I made a point in that game. I wish I could go back and show my old box score from that game. I scored well over 50 points in that game. I scored about 3 times as many points as the other team scored, and I'm not a big guy, but man, I wish I could see my line. I had so many steals, so many block shots. I was hoisting up shots from way behind the three-point line. It was like, I don't mean to boast, but I mean, like, I was like, they used to call me Reggie Miller of the double rims. I just lit up this other team and embarrassed the hell out of the other team, and then I looked at the coach after the game, and I said, you got me on the B team? And then he told me, he said, you know what? You're going to stay on the B team until you get a growth spurt. And I was like, dude, I quit the team. So I didn't play basketball anymore at middle school. But I just saw what bullshit it was right then. I was like, dude, your A team just got fucking wasted. And you're telling me after this game you're going to keep me on the fucking B team? Well, I fucking quit. And, yeah, it is. It is a pecking order, and it's bullshit. It's all about who you know.
Look at that level. That guy was obviously being controlled. I mean, you want to win, you're going to take the best player. You can't be that fucking dumb.
Exactly.
12 or 15, 20 kids, and you can't decide who are the top 5 kids or close to that?
Exactly, man.
It wasn't even like you're saying, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even like there was a discussion to have.
It was just a joke, and then he made a comment about how I was too short to be on his A team, and that's what he did have bigger kids, but it doesn't matter who's bigger if they can't play fucking basketball. We would have won the game if I would have been on the A team, guaranteed.
Right.
So.
Yeah, man, it starts early. It really does. It goes a lot further than college or pro. This stuff starts. It starts fucking like you said, even before high school. This stuff's going on.
Yeah. So.
Hey, I was thinking of the whole 5G thing. You were bringing the 5G thing up, and I don't know if you brought this up or not, but 5 and G, like 5.7 or 7.5, and the purest cipher, New World Order, and Scottish Rite is 57.
Huh. Yeah.
I think that's kind of interesting. That's the people behind this. So. And I'm thinking the same thing. It obviously is a more dangerous thing, but just like with the vaccinations, this 5G, I don't think it's something where people just start dropping dead. It's like the vaccinations. All this stuff's designed to take years off your life or give you things like lethal cancer. They know they can't, give someone a shot or roll this 5G out. People just stop dropping dead like in the fucking movies. It's a slow process to shorten your life, to make sure you're not living as long. I mean, that's how they get away with it.
Yep.
Because that's the technology aspect of it.
Exactly.
They're so far ahead of the game.
Exactly. Yep.
But man, I hope I don't know how many people you got listening right now, but I hope everybody listening, any chance they get to talk to somebody, now is the time to wake people up. Because even people that have no idea what's going on, they know something ain't fucking right with this. They know something's fishy. And this is our opportunity, so the motherfuckers behind this, they're out there right in the open putting themselves out there. Now we really have to expose them. This may be one of our last opportunities to make this to where we can actually, move with this, to bring it to where we can unite and get a lot of people to try to do something about it. Because that's all I'm thinking about, Zach. I am not 1% at all scared of this fucking coronavirus. What worries the shit out of me is what they're doing to businesses right now. My wife has a small to medium-sized business, and they're trying to destroy these things, and that's what they're doing right now. They are destroying these businesses. That's really what's happening. It ain't about no fucking coronavirus. It's all about destroying what's left.
Indeed, it's the total top takeover. So
people gotta fucking see it, man. Even the fucking Republicans had on my route. Actually, I will say the Republicans are more on board with what I'm talking about than these pansy ass. I don't even like to use the term liberal because we know there's no fucking liberal. We know it's all bullshit anyways. But even the fucking Republicans seem to be more on board with, something ain't right with this. Something's wrong. Right? But they got the fucking liberals scared shitless. Right? This is these opportunities for these motherfuckers to do something.
Right.
Jump on board. Get with the fucking program, people. Grab your fucking ball sack and see if you got a fucking bear. Now's your chance. Speak up.
Well, that's the problem, man. I mean, society's been neutered. Most people don't have a pair, so.
It is fucking pathetic, man, to just see these grown people act this way.
Mm-hmm.
These fucking people are it's just tiring, man, just to see how they're just succumbing to this. This is the time, man. People should be outraged. They should be fucking pissed. They should be doing the fucking opposite of what the government says. And yeah, government, I know you're fucking listening. I do the opposite of what you fucking tell me to do. That's the right thing to do. Do not listen to these people. And I'm the same way, man. When they roll this shit out, I don't care if they tell me, hey, Al, you ain't got a postal job. You ain't giving me the motherfucking shot. I ain't taking it. Even if I don't get the poison. And it doesn't do what it's intended to do to whatever percent of the population they want to get rid of. I'm not taking the shit. And that's why I'm going to keep talking about it. So then when you fuckers try to sneak and roll it out, more people are going to be aware of, oh, yeah, these guys were right. Look at them. They're doing exactly what all these fucking crazy people said they were going to do. Better fucking wake up. It's coming.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the problem, man, is all these people are just so obedient and so believing in the government and the media that they're just going to march right along and not think anything twice. And because most of them have that attitude. They're like, if I just follow the rules, everything will be okay.
And that's why they're marching right on top of it. That's why I've been saying after 9/11, when they pulled all this bullshit with, taking your fucking shoes off at the airport. Then after that, a few years after that, they wanted you to stand in this thing and scan your body. All this bullshit. If everybody said, fuck you, I ain't getting in your fucking machines, I ain't taking my fucking shoes off, nobody'd be fucking doing it right now. And everything would be normal. We'd be getting on planes, off and all that shit. Nothing would be happening. But because all these dumb fucking sheep do exactly as they're told, look where we're at now. And now we're in the next phase of this. And then we're going to go into the next phase of it. Mm-hmm. And then we have nothing left. I mean, this is just so fucking clear as day, people. Open your eyes and just start talking. You got nothing to lose because it's only going to get worse. Don't worry about what people think. You gotta speak up, because even if you can, do maybe one out of every 10 or 20 people, that's something. That's something. That's all we need. You're not going to get everybody.
Here's what I'll say to people. I don't know if nothing to lose is the right phrase, because technically you could probably lose everything that you have in this world if you don't comply, but that's what people need to really think about. Like, what is worth it to them? All this material shit and their way of life right now, or standing up for the right thing? I mean, so that's the tough choice that people have to make.
Yeah, they're taking all that away. All that stuff is going to be taken away. You ain't going to have the right to go out and use it or do any of it. You know, they got everybody confined.
Right.
And, yeah, I mean, it's just really frustrating, man. I mean, for me, the only thing, it hasn't really affected my life yet, but most people it has, just because, you know, I do have this fucking government job. So, you know, the government they keep moving forward, right, with their agenda. So, you know, that's the only thing about a government job is, you know, that part of it is a secure job. But outside of that, I mean, look at all the people's lives that this has been affected by, you know, and already in just such a short period. I'm just really concerned about this second wave when it hits. You know, what are they going to do then? Are they going to, you know, pile something else on top of it? Because they got us right where they want us right now, man.
Well, again, 201 days after Event 201 is May 6th, 5-6, the big number, and Google accidentally leaked that as the World War III start date. It's just, I almost feel like this is the World War right now. Kind of like how a few years ago they gave us that World War Z movie, which was about a viral outbreak. I almost feel like this is their World War. It's a war against all of humanity with a virus and losing everything as we knew it, so...
Hey, what do you think about Monday, man? April 6th, doesn't virus equal 46?
It does, and this year it's the 90. So again, that we talked about that data maybe a week or two back, because Cuomo, the 56th governor of New York, keeps calling this a tsunami and a coming wave. And tsunami equals 97. It's the 97th day of the year. And from the first day he said it to April 6th, whatever wave equals was that many days. And then, of course, like you said, 4-6 is virus and chaos, and they love to do shit at the beginning of the week. So, yeah, I suspect they'll have something for us that day.
Hey, man, I think if 4-6 was on, like, Saturday or Sunday, maybe not a whole lot, but being that it's on a Monday, I think they're definitely going to do some shit on that day.
Mm-hmm.
Pray for my buddy and all the people out there in New York, you know, because, you know, they're really getting the brunt of this shit, man. New World Order, it's really on top of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thanks for everything you do. You know, you got all the courage to just keep it moving, man. That's all we're gonna do. I know you're not gonna quit. I'm not gonna quit. We just need more people to step up to the plate, man. I'm at 30,000. Are we way off?
We're at well, because they always drop people at the first of the month, so we went back down from where we were. But yeah, we're a little bit. We're at hold on, I'll put it on the screen. I think it's like 12,000, so we're about 18,000 from the goal right now.
God, man, $1, people. I mean, you could really make a difference. I don't think people realize how that dollar it really can make a difference. This can really push this thing to the next level, man. You gotta get that dollar. That's all we need is a fucking dollar, man.
Well, again, if everybody
man, just give the dollar, do it.
Well,
you'll be glad you did.
Well, then we could hire people and have a team of people to go full time and pound payment and make awareness city to city. I mean, it's what has to happen right now. I mean, people are probably less inclined to do it right now since we're all on lockdown.
You know, everybody gives a dollar. We're all gonna fucking show up right here, you know. Everybody that gives a dollar plus, many of us we're going to be right here. This is our next place we're going to be. That's what we need to start doing.
Right.
And then we really start, as we get bigger and bigger, then we really start to draw more and more attention, you know? So, I mean, that's what we need to be able to do. We need these groups so big that it draws so much attention that people can't just ignore it anymore.
Right. Yep, right.
Hey, man, enjoy the rest of your weekend, brother.
All right, brother. Take care, man.
I'll
Appreciate it.
Later.
All right, have a good one.
Bye-bye.
You know, probably part of the reason that they established Microsoft in New Mexico is probably because it is the 47th state, just like how this ritual was done on Bill Gates' 47th day of his age. The word beast is 47. And remember, the number of the beast is 666, and computers 666. Internet 666. I'm gonna look more into this, why it was established in New Mexico and how it ended up in Seattle. I did not realize that until just today, but that just shows you what a chosen puppet he is, and it's not hard to see that he's one of the Kanazis. What's up, caller?
Zach?
Yeah.
What's going
What's up?
I just want to say, I really appreciate what you're doing, bro. There's not that many people out here spreading the truth like you do. And so efficiently, at it every day. It's just amazing what you do. Thank you. And,
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I had a question. All right, so I understand that God created the universe through letters and numbers, right? That's like the whole basis of Gematria. So,
Well, it's the basis.
Actually,
Again, it's the basis of Kabbalah, which is where Gematria comes from. But yeah, I hear you.
well, yeah. So what if it's? I really think it's like people behind this shit, like the secret society. It's people behind the scenes pulling the strings. But what if it's actually just the divine order of the universe? You know, like what if?
Or the opposite?
Falling into place.
Okay. Well, I agree. There's definitely an organic side. There's definitely a way that this is how the universe operates. But I don't think like what I'm showing on the screen right now with Bill Gates grinning in this staged mugshot in New Mexico. I don't think that this is organic at all. I think this is them doing their rituals, mocking us all along the way. So there's definitely an organic divine side, but then there's also this manipulated side, like trying to be like the Most High, if you will. And that's who these people are. I mean, you know, Bill Gates on CNN last week laughing hysterically about a pandemic. I mean, there's nothing divine about that. He's just it's like a sick cackle as they make little jokes that most people aren't clued into. Did you see that footage I showed us, Sanjay Gupta talking to Bill Gates?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I might have to play that again.
Pretty sketch. Yeah.
So, and all that's perfect ritual, like how they lined that up on March 26, 26/3, 263, the 56th prime, the same day in history that Jonas Salk came up with the polio vaccine. And did you see what we were just talking about with all the 42 stuff with Elvis and all that?
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that's divine, or do you think that's a perfectly executed ritual?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it's certain things that are just actually falling into place, and this is how things should go. But it's also people behind the scenes pulling these strings and just other fucked up demonic shit. Like Bill Gates trying to get rid of 15% of the population with vaccines. Like, he's definitely one of the main proprietors, you could say, behind all of this.
He's the chosen puppet for all of this, is what he is. But yeah, man, the last chapter of my book is about how there is an organic side of this code. And again, I make that point. It's like, and that's why they're doing this. This is why they're using this code. They're trying to like alter the matrix of the actual universe. I mean, that's about the best way I could put it. So, yeah.
Well, all right.
All right, man.
That's my question.
All right, appreciate it. And don't forget this 2-hour and 1-minute movie, 201 like Event 201, that came out on Bill Gates' birthday, starring Tom Hanks, who joked that he's losing to his wife by 201 points in gin rummy. This movie's about a billionaire who wants to depopulate the world with a virus. I mean, these people are, you know, they're putting it in our face again and again. And by the way, I'll just throw this in at the end of the live stream. Most people won't watch this far anyway. You notice how this date, October 28, 2016, 10 plus 28 is 38, plus 20 is 58, plus 16 74. It's a date with 74 numerology. Like how Event 201 was October 18th, the day leaving 74 days left in the year. This goon on YouTube. I went in this guy's, somebody was bugging me. They kept leaving all these comments. Zach, will you try to interact with this guy? I think he'll help share your information. And I go in this guy's live stream one day because I see he's live streaming. I've been trying to find a time to talk to him, so I see he's got a live stream going on. So I go in there and I start asking, hey man, are you interested in sharing about Gematria? And he was talking about something. There was like a big 74 ritual. There's almost always a big 74 ritual in their events. And I was like, hey, I was sharing some notes about what he was talking about. And then while I was doing that in his live stream, I got an email that I had been demonetized. At the same time I was active in his live stream. And I was like, this guy's probably just another damn shill, man. And I was like, what are the odds? What are the odds that I get demonetized while I'm in this guy's channel? Look at this video he puts out yesterday. something big happened 74 days ago. And then he's talking about something he was doing 74. This dude's this guy, man. This is why he won't share Gematria. This whole truth community, if you got over 100K subs and you're still existing on YouTube, you are a straight up shilling agent, I guarantee it. What's up, caller?
Back, man. What up, bro?
What's up?
Man, I appreciate you, man. I've been following you, man, for about 4 years, man. You've been giving me ugly knowledge, man, about all the letters and the numbers, man, and I appreciate you.
Welcome.
I have some more information for you, man. You did a video on Booty Mob, cell therapy.
Right.
And you said when you went to the 56 seconds, you seen the mask when they was in the window.
Right.
But the lyrics is what's crazy.
Right.
In the lyrics of the song, that rapper do mention, you know what I'm saying, Tom Hanks. You know what I'm saying? Like the first couple, you know, he mentioned Tom Hanks' name.
He mentions Tom Hanks in that movie? Or in that song, Tom Hanks?
Man, look at the first lyrics of the song, man. He said, when the scene unfolds, young girls, 16 years old, exposed to sex. Too many Tom, Dick, and Hanks. That man said, too many Tom, Dick. Ain't his middle name Richard?
I think it's Thomas Jeffrey Hanks is his name.
Okay, but he did say too many Tom, Dick, and Hanks. So from him even saying that in the lyric, kind of like, you know, raised the eyebrow because Tom Hanks was centered around all this, you know, coronavirus.
Yeah, I got the lyrics up right now. When the scene unfolds, young girls 13 years old expose themselves to any Tom, Dick, and Hank. Yeah, that is interesting because then later in the song there's the lyrics about after his best friend Bean died and Kobe Bean Bryant just died. So yeah, I missed that part about Hank. That's a good catch.
Yeah, that's weird, man. That's weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just from, and that's like the song, what, 20 years old? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, that song is like the most on-point song there ever was right now. And again, they're out of Atlanta, like the Center for Disease Control, so yeah.
Yeah, that's deep. And I was trying to do a comparison against the Nazis, because you remember the Nazis did a boycott on the Jewish businesses, like in the 1930s, and that's basically what's going on now. They kind of like, if you think about it, they boycotting all the businesses. You see what I'm saying? Everybody closed. Like I cut hair for a living, bro. So you know what I'm saying? All the barbers that's in the shop going crazy, bro, because we can't work. You see what I'm saying? Ain't nobody, you know, can't nobody cut hair. So it seems like all the businesses is shutting down, and it seems like it's kind of like I don't know, man. It's just weird, man.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to share something. So there was a Jewish man who was trying to negotiate with the Nazis before the war began in 1933. And what he was trying to do was to make a peaceful option for Jewish people who didn't want to be in Nazi Germany before the war began, for them to go to Israel. Because they'd been trying to move Jews to Israel since before World War I started. So this was all part of an ongoing plan. That's why they don't teach us about World War I. But this Jewish man, he was trying to avoid the war, and he was negotiating with the Nazis and trying to get the Jews to be able to come there peacefully. And supposedly that was working out. But then he was assassinated, and this Jewish man was assassinated by other Jews. And I guarantee you, they're the ones that wanted the war. But I went back and looked at this, and I was like, wow, this guy was assassinated 113 days after his birthday, 113, the number of deception from the Talmud. And he was killed on a date with 74 numerology, killing English, Gematria, Jewish, Masonic, Occult 74, just like how this shill over here who won't talk about Gematria, who just does nothing but talk bullshit and sell t-shirts, is now making videos about what happened 74 days ago. And always the same numbers. And from the day that the Nazi boycott started, or the anti-Nazi boycott, which was led by World Jews against Germany, from the day that started to his assassination was 137 days later, the 33rd prime, and this happened in 1933. Again, same old numbers. Yep, same old numbers. And there's more to it too, but somebody just asked me to look into this the other day, and this just goes to show, man, these people want war. They want all the suffering for humanity. The whole thing could have been avoided. The story is that the Nazis were willing to agree to this and help the Jews leave the country and go to Israel. They could have done all this without a war. So.
Yeah, but like you say, man, they know the Bible as well. You feel me? So they basically just
playing the Bible. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know the Bible in the sheet, you know what I'm saying? You don't know the Bible, you're gonna get misled. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you don't know the the wonders and, like you say, revelations and all that. Like you can see that they playing on the Bible. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, Zach, I appreciate you, dude. Man, for real, bro. I've been woke for a minute, man. You know what I'm saying? But this, like, I guess, man, God sent me your way, bro. Like, I've been following you like four years, bro. And I just got your cash app, so I'm glad I got that, man. Cause I'm on the Patreon, bro, but it's so hard to navigate through the system. Sometimes I can't donate like I want to, man. But I got the cash app tag, man, and I got you, bro. I'm definitely part of the movement. I'll be studying every day. I barely watch TV, bro. I'm like a machine. You feel me? I'm into it, so I just appreciate you, my dude.
Well, I appreciate you. I do it for people like you who care, and I appreciate the support too. It means a lot. So thank you, and let's keep waking people up.
All right, bro. I appreciate you, man. Keep doing what you do, man. I'm following.
All right. Take care, friend. Caller? Caller, you got to mute your video. You got to mute your video. Caller?
Hey, what's up, Zach?
What's up, man?
I just wanted to make a quick point on the Elvis, because when you said the story about Elvis took the polio vaccine on October 28, 1956. That was the same year Bill Gates was born, right?
It was Bill Gates' first birthday. He turned 1 year old that day.
Yeah, his first birthday.
Mm-hmm. And it was also Jonas Salk's 42nd birthday, just like how it was 42 weeks after Elvis's birthday, just like how vaccines 42, and now Bill Gates is up in Washington State, the 42nd state.
But I found one more thing interesting about Elvis. When the day Elvis was born, they said it was the last day in the U.S. history that we had zero debt. January 8th, 1935.
That was the last date that what happened?
If you Google the last time the U.S. had zero debt, it would show Elvis' birthday.
Oh, weird. Weird. Elvis also went on to die at age 42 for another 42, but the last day that U.S. had zero debt, huh?
Yes, January 8th, 1935 will pop up. That's what I thought. I wanted to call you and let you know that. How did that play? Yeah, because you said Tom Hanks was doing a movie about Elvis in Australia, and you were just telling me about Bill Gates being born, his first birthday on when Elvis took that. Took the shot on TV, and you said what?
It was 100 years before Elvis was born, because it was 1835. But still, it is interesting. It says on January 8th, 1835, President Andrew Jackson achieves his goal of entirely paying off the United States national debt. So it was 100 years to the day Elvis was born.
Oh, it was 100 days to the okay.
But that's still interesting that he was born on the anniversary of that. Yeah, that's still interesting. So.
Okay, so it was the 100th anniversary. So he was born on the 100th anniversary. On no time he didn't have that.
That's right.
But it's still interesting, though.
It is. What's interesting about that date, January 8th, 1835, is the date was 62 numerology, and dollar is 62. So, what a day to have zero debt.
It was 102 years after the Spanish flu, right?
We're 102 years after the Spanish flu began right now.
And you said that before Elvis took that shot on TV, you said nobody was getting the polio shot, right? That's what you said, right?
Well, what I read is that, because again, the polio shot came out March 26th, 1953, and Elvis got the shot more than 3 years later, October 28th, 1956, so pretty much 3.5 years later. And up until the point Elvis got the shot, less than 1% of the U.S. population had gotten the shot. After Elvis got it, 80% of the population got it shortly after.
So it is crazy how history repeats itself. All Bill Gates is involved with
and using celebrities.
He was 1 year old.
And using celebrities to sell everybody on it.
And plus, he's behind all the companies with the vaccines and stuff and plus, he was doing all this experiment with Africa with the AIDS vaccine, Ebola. So it's just like, it's crazy. And plus, he said his father was into eugenics and stuff like that. It's just crazy that he was 1 year old when Elvis did that on national TV.
You know what we got to do, man? You know what we got to do while Vegas is on lockdown? We need to all figure out a way to get to Vegas in our best Elvis get-up and start doing our Elvis impersonations, but with the vaccine, man. Oh, man.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make that point. But what you think about that's only one time in history that he had zero debt on that date? That's what I really wanted to ask you.
Well, Andrew Jackson, that's what's on his tombstone, is that he killed the central bank. Because Andrew Jackson got rid of the central bank while he was president, and then it came back again with the Civil War. So that's how he got to zero debt, because he knew that the bank was here to enslave the nation to debt. So that was his thing.
Okay, that's it. I just wanted to make that point about that. And Tom Hanks shooting the movie about Elvis in Australia.
Exactly, man. Isn't it crazy how they just got it all synced up? I know, man. And then Bill Gates fits in with that too, because the Tom Hanks movie about the billionaire that wants to depopulate the world came out on Bill Gates' birthday. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then. Okay, Zach. I'm still listening.
All right, appreciate it, man. Take care.
Okay.
Oh, shit. I switched over to the next caller too late. Caller? Caller?
Yes.
You gotta mute your video.
Hello?
Yeah, mute the video and talk to me.
Oh, man, finally in, man. Love your work, man. Appreciate everything.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for listening. What's up?
Yeah, man, I had a quick question. I wanted to ask about, have you ever, I don't know if I've already talked about Isaac Cappy.
Yeah, yep, that happened almost a year ago now. His death, I forget, did they blame it on a suicide? I gotta go back and look at my notes.
Yeah, they blame it on the suicide. Yeah, I guess I come across when you talked about it. But yeah, man, I'm barely picking up on that, and I mean that's just too crazy, man. You know, like, what details can you give me on that right now?
I'm pulling up my
Or you have
plus.
videos?
So, okay. I remember they switched his age around. Let me see. So, he died on his 86th day of his age. Blood sacrifice 86. 86 to get rid of. So, that was something that jumped out right away, that he died on his 86th day of his age. He died in a place that has the 74 Gematria, Belmont, Arizona. Again, always that number. Belmont, Arizona, 74, like killing, like Masonic. By the way, all the people out there, go bomb Brian at High Impact Vlogs for this video saying 74 days ago. I knew this guy's a fucking shill, man. This is why my channel got demonetized, for asking this guy to cover about Gematria. That was costly. But anyway, he died at age 42. Freemason 42. When you write out 42, 74, he died in Arizona 42. Isaac Cappy's 39 like Arizona. When you run it the other way, that town Belmont equals 46 like Sacrifice. And there was something about Paris Jackson. I forget what it was with Paris Jackson and him. When I did the video for this, it must have been more current, so I remembered. Oh, here we go. Paris Jackson, actor who allegedly choked her, jumps to his death. So, he'd been accused of choking Paris Jackson. And her birthday, let's see. Her birthday was April 3rd. I guess I was just pointing out that her name, Paris Jackson, equals 46, like Belmont, like Sacrifice. Seth Green was also connected to this. He died.
I remember mentioning him.
He died on Seth Green's 95th day of his age, and pedophilia's 95. And what was it? Had he accused Seth Green of pedophilia? Yeah, he did. He accused Seth Green of pedophilia. So he died on Seth Green's 95th day of his age, and pedophilia's 95. So yeah, it seemed like a pretty well-coordinated ritual, and maybe a lot of it had to do with that accusation against Seth Green.
Yeah, and also I've seen the post that Tom Hanks put on his Instagram. I don't know if you talked about that with Roadkill 66.
Roadkill?
It has some. Yeah. You go on Tom Hanks' Instagram page. It's kind of old already because that was a while back. Let me pull it up real quick.
Oops.
Because he mentioned his name as well, you know, on that list that he brought out. On April 4th, actually, on 2019, Tom Hanks put...
I see. That was his last Instagram post before he was diagnosed with coronavirus. And you're saying roadkill equals 66 like Corona?
Tom Hanks put a post on April 4th, 2019, about the historic Route 66 roadkill, and I think that had to deal with Isaac Cappy's and his death. Not that one right there that you're putting.
I see it's down further. Okay, but that one post had a rubber glove.
It's right next to the red handkerchief.
Let me see how far down I am.
Yeah, a little bit more down.
June 20. Wait, that's 2018. I'm too far down. Next to a red handkerchief, huh? This one has a glove.
Yeah, the Hanks. You posted that one before the Hanks.
That's March 11th, 2019. Interesting. He posted a picture of a glove.
Right
It might be interesting. It might be interesting to go through celebrities' Instagrams. He's got a picture of a glove on March 11, 2019, and then a picture of a glove on March 11, 2020.
Yeah. Go a little bit up.
Is it this one? Oh, here's the roadkill one. Yeah, here it is. Okay.
A little bit up. The red
On
handkerchief
4-4.
Right there,
I see 4-4 kill 44. You're talking about roadkill, huh? So what was your thought with this?
No, it's not that one. There's another one.
That's not
A
that
little
one?
bit up. Right next to that red handkerchief, a little bit higher.
It's not this one where he's taking a picture of the ground?
What was that?
You're on time delay from whatever you're watching on the screen. I think it is this one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one right there. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and, I read somewhere that photo and whatever he said, roadkill 66 had something to do with Isaac Cappy's death. Because Isaac Cappy, put out the list of his name as well on that pedophile list.
Huh. Okay. And that's another picture of a glove. Why does this guy keep taking pictures of gloves?
Yeah, man, it's some crazy. I never even looked at this guy's Instagram until all this started coming about, and it's just weird.
It is weird, man. It is weird. So, okay.
Yeah, man, but yeah, I appreciate everything, man. I'm doing my part out here in Texas, right next to island, right in the tip of Texas.
Just so you know, in the future, man, if you got a question about something, if I've covered it, go to my old blog, freetofindtruth.blogspot.com. Not the same site as Free to Find Truth, the new social media website, but my old blog's freetofindtruth.blogspot.com. And in the top left, there's a search, man. You can. I've covered almost everything, man. There's nearly 30,000 posts on this blog. So if you search for something, you're gonna find it.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate everything, though. For real, it's just crazy.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you supporting. So you have a good day.
You too.
All right, take care, man. All right. All right, let's take one last call, and then I got a sweet lady wants some food here, so it's like 3 p.m. She hasn't eaten. What's up, caller?
Yeah, hey, Zach, man, I appreciate all your work, man, what you've been doing, man.
Welcome.
Hey, man, I was just wanted a quick question about the Georgia Guidestones.
Uh-huh.
Man, I was thinking about, getting a team together to go on down to the Georgia Guidestones and pull that whole shit down, dude.
Well,
I mean,
honestly, if you pulled it down, it's not going to do anything, right? It's almost better it's there to wake people up because nobody's heard about it. Because, I mean, they've etched their plans in stone. It's not like we pull it down, it's going to change their plans. So I don't think that's the right call, man, because, I mean, we want almost nobody knows about that thing. We want people to know that that's there and know what's written on that thing to wake them up. So,
yeah.
But what we should do...
So you don't think that would do anything to by pulling it down, it wouldn't thwart their plans, in other words?
I don't think it would, man. I think they're going to do what they're going to do, whether those stones are there or not. I think that's just the way how they do, put stuff in our face, expect us not to see it, so...
Yeah, so maybe we should just raise more awareness towards that then.
That's what I think we should do. Yeah, because I would never do that. No one's going to see you. It's like we need to go to where people are and get them to look into this.
Yeah. Go to where people are and get them to look into this.
That's what we got to do.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for your time.
All right, appreciate it. Yeah, you take care.
You too.
I just thought about something, too, because you see how it's on the 82nd Meridian West? March 22nd is the 82nd day of the year on leap years. So, like, 1980, when it was placed there, was a leap year. This year's a leap year. Remember, COVID equals 82, like COVID-19. They locked down a bunch of cities this year on March 22nd. 40-year anniversary. United States is 40. All right, I'm going to take one more call because this person's called in a bunch. This is really going to be the last call, and then I'm getting off. What's up, New Jersey?
Hello?
Yeah, what's up?
What's
ever heard of the new Nick Cannon documentary with the Dr. Sabi thing? Yeah.
I actually did hear that Nick. I think it. Wait, was it Nick Cannon? Some artist was working on a Dr. Sabi documentary. Maybe it was Nick Cannon.
It was Nipsey. It was supposed to be Nipsey.
Ah, that's right. It was Nipsey Hussle. That's right. All right, there we go.
So the name of the documentary. Let me get it real quick. The name of the documentary is called Strong Enemies, right?
Strong Enemies.
Yeah. I'm like, whoever tries to do this Dr. Safety thing and try to let out the truth about things, they always get killed off or whatever. So I looked up Nick Cannon's name. I did it in the Gematria thing, and you type in Nick Cannon, it summons to 98, right? So I'm like, all right, 98. So I'm like, all right, what else did he do? Wildin' Out equals 98 as well. And I'm just like, yo.
What's Wildin' Out? I don't know enough about him. What's Wildin' Out?
Wildin' Out it's his show that he owns.
Okay.
It's the comic.
Okay, so Nick Cannon equals Wildin' Out. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, Nick Cannon equals Wildin' Out. I think today's the 94th day of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it's a leap year this year, so this year it's the 95th day of the year, but normally it's the 94th day.
Alright, so I'm like, alright. I'm thinking like, shit, if something happens to him on the 98th day, it makes all the sense in the world. You get what I'm saying?
That'd be 3 days from today, so that would be April 7th this year.
Yeah, April 7th. So I was like, yo, if something happens to him, it'll make all the sense in the world. And I was trying to also, there's this new Drake song. It's called 2C Slide. I don't know if you ever heard of that yet. It just came out today.
It's called what slide?
2C. COOSIE Slide.
Okay, I hadn't heard of it.
It literally just came out today, and I listened to the lyrics. I'm reading the lyrics and everything, and he goes, basically, what I'm saying, we all about to slide. In hood terms, I guess slide means go or go somewhere. So, but he tried to cover it up like with like, I guess it's a dancing song or whatever. But it's like left foot, right foot, like it's some like ritualistic shit. That's all I'm saying. And also, he on the cover of the single, like the album, it's him throwing up the Masonic, the little 3 sign and shit. I'm like, that's Masonic as hell.
Look at this. I just type in Drake. I just type in Drake in the name of the song, and what comes up is Drake dons a $47,000 Ralph Simmons bomber jacket in the new music video for 2C Slide. 47 again, man.
Yeah, man, that shit is crazy, bro. And then, so when I seen that, I'm looking at the lyrics. And remember, I think I heard from you that these Jewish people that the you know who basically they have 2,000 Goyim slaves for every one, right?
Right. I got to look up what the exact number was because what I remember about the exact. Anyway, just go ahead. Go ahead, man.
So in the lyrics, he said, "I got 2,000 chicks out there ready to do something." Then he said, "I got 200 dudes that's out there waiting to do something like." You know, like they trying to go to war with him or they down with him. And it's like when you listen to the song, you hear the lyrics, you're already going to know, like, all right, this is all just ritualistic shit. And then he said, we're not worried about him until the summertime and all this shit. And you know how they saying that the coronavirus was supposed to push over to the summertime? Like, I'm just like, bro, this guy, man, like, I mean, people don't read between the lines, bro. What do you think about that, man? Like,
well, I think you're right on, especially with the whole Goyim thing, because that is something straight from the Talmud about how when the Jewish Messiah arrives, there'll be 2,000 and some Goyim slaves for every Jew. And he's technically Jewish, Drake, because his mom's Jewish, so.
Exactly. And I think the thing about Drake is, like, he get a pass because he's half black. So it's like, yeah, you're half black, your father's black, but obviously, I think, wasn't his father an artist too? His father was born into the thing too, I think. His father was born into the system as well. You get what I'm saying? So.
No, haven't you heard his song, man? He started at the bottom. No, I know, man. All these dudes are frauds, and he probably was. I honestly don't know a lot about Drake's history, but I should look into it. I mean, they structured the whole fucking NBA season around him last year, so he's obviously somebody.
What? I meant to ask you, man, because, like, the dude that was on with you earlier, he was talking about how he played against D Rose in high school and everything, and I gotta say, like, D Rose was, like, one of my favorites, but he still is. Like, I give him his props because of how he carried himself, but do you think it's possible, right, that he probably, like, it was a ritual for him to tear his ACL on purpose?
Of course it was, man. They have all these guys do these fake injury rituals. I mean, I doubt Rose has been as injured as much as he really has for his whole career. It's hard to say why they do what they do to certain players, but
You know what my theory was? I was thinking like, cause you know how they always try to hit you with like an ultimatum, like, oh, you either sacrifice this, like your mom or your brother. I think if you do say no to it, then you gotta sacrifice yourself within yourself. So I think like they probably offer, or he probably had to do like a blood sacrifice with his mom or somebody that he really loved. He didn't want to do it, and they like, all right, well, we gotta make way for who? LeBron. Cause think about it, when he was at his peak, it was always going against LeBron, and then ironically, every time you went against LeBron, you always lost. And he was the only, I guess he was like the only player going against him who actually had a chance to beat LeBron.
Sure. Well, you're right on, man. I still remember the year that the Warriors and Cavs first met in the first NBA Finals. I was telling everybody on my YouTube that that's what was going to happen, and all the critics were saying, "Nah, this is Derrick Rose's year. It's going to be Derrick Rose. Just watch." I was like, "Nah, man, it's LeBron's league. You'll see." So yeah.
I swear. And the thing is, I was one of those people who just because I played football all my life, man. I was already into football. I tell you, when I woke up is when I've been woke to it, but the thing that, like, shout out to Spiritual Soul, man, he put me onto your channel, bro, and he told me to go look at the channel, and that was the day Kobe died. Once I watched that one video you put out, I've been a Patreon supporter ever since, bro, and I just been like trying out. And that same month, like that month of February, bro, it didn't even take me long enough. I just said I'm retiring football because I played semi-pro. I'm like, I'm not doing this slavery shit no more, man, because at the end of the day, I'm playing for free. I mean, I got the chance to go to Iceland. Those are the real experiences. I've been telling people, yo, stop trying to go to the league, bro. Stop trying to go to the NBA. Stop trying to go to the NFL. Stop trying to go to these damn leagues. I said the best thing you could ever do is at least go overseas and play. Travel the world and see other things, man. Don't be stuck on this like NFL, NBA shit because it's not for everybody, bro. You got to be cut from a different cloth to really make it. And I've been trying to tell people that, but they don't hear me out. I'm a life coach, so like, shit, all they see me as that. They don't know that I experienced all of that shit, man. So that's something I also wanted to point it out, man. But I wanted to also like point out, bro, like, are you coming to like New York, New Jersey area like soon, anytime soon? Like, I mean,
I'm doing it ASAP, man. As soon as they allow people to be outside again, I will be there because I'm worried that if they do open up the window, they might shut it down again real fast. So I'm taking advantage of the moment. I plan to when they open it up, I plan to hit up New York, DC, and Atlanta. So.
Oh man, shit, man. Well, yeah, that's all I wanted to point out, man. The 2C slide, man, and the Nick Cannon shit is what's really like sticking out to me right now because it's upcoming events. It's like current events right now. So that's something I just want to point out, man.
I appreciate it, and thanks for support, man.
No problem, man. Take it easy, bro.
All right, yeah, you take care.
All right, man.
All right, see you. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up for now. I'll be back soon enough. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and until next time.